Well, good morning. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, and it's a pretty good Friday. No doubt about that.
Is this Good Friday?
This might as well be Good Friday in Baltimore, Stan.
Is great Friday.
It really is. Stan the Fan Charles is back in studio with us this Friday morning. We have a lot to do on today's show. A lot. But right now, we just want to talk about the Orioles for a minute because our buddy Brandon Copeland's going to join us in studio in a second, so I just want to squeeze that out. How you like them apples? Huh? Thank you to the baseball gods. Thank you to them who said, yeah, we're not going to let it go this way. We're not going to let this happen.
Resilient team, gritty team, and at times great team.
Yes, all of the above. And look, are they going to score 17 runs every game they play? No. Have they had puzzling? It's a great point. Why set the standard any lower? They struggled against Nestor Cortez a couple nights ago, but boy, did they have a game plan for Luis Gil. Boy, did they have a plan. And they were aggressive. Although, ironically, right, the hit that started the second inning, the 6-run inning, was a 0-2 single from Jordan Westberg.
Yeah.
Who's been a really good 0-2. Jordan Westberg has been a two-strike hitter. Yeah.
O'Hearn has been awesome, too.
Just a great day. Just a great day.
Let me tell an old quick story, and I've told it on the air before, but in relationship to Ryan O'Hearn. Okay. This was a guy who, to say he was coming off the scrap heap when the Orioles got him. I mean, he couldn't even really make an impact get playing time under Mike Matheny.
Yeah, on a bad
Royals team. And he comes here and he has this off-the-charts season last year. It's reminding me a little bit of what Earl Weaver taught me. That story about when he asked me, he'd been listening to my show, and he said, do you really think I give a rat's ass about what Murray and Ripken are doing on May the 8th? He goes, they've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, those are the two guys I'm worried about. And he pointed to Mike Young and Floyd Rayford, who had great half seasons in 1985. This was 1986. And the two of them never did anything again the rest of their careers. So last year, when I saw O'Hearn have this year, I said, Earl taught me this. And he's come back, and I think in some ways he's been better this year than last year.
I think as a more complete hitter, 100%. But maybe that point that Earl Weaver made to you is also, and I'm not trying to make Cedric Mullins or Ramon Arias, either of them, Cal Ripken or Eddie Murray. They are most certainly not.
Well, he would have said the same thing about Mullins, Hayes,
But to the point, right? Like those two dudes in particular were at the death. Like they were at something has to be done.
Yep.
And both of them have responded in very big ways.
Yeah.
And look, does that guarantee that they're both going to be, great for the rest of the year? Not at all. But it has been.
O'Hearn is looking like
he's a plus baseball player.
He's a plus player.
Yeah, and now we have to acknowledge, not against lefties. He did hit a ball hard yesterday against a lefty. That's funny, but it was just right at Cabrera.
Luckily for O'Hearn and for us, we're gonna face 70% right-handed
pitching.
So
he's going to be in the lineup plenty moving forward. And yes, he has become a truly complete hitter and a really, really reliable piece within that lineup. Just a massive, not just a massive win for the game, but a massive series win that I don't think a lot of us saw coming. I think all of us. Look, I came into the week saying, I got one goal for this week. Don't get swept. Just don't get swept. Don't fall 4.5 games behind.
Right.
I don't care about the division streak. Just don't.
Yeah, if you win one, you're only 2.5.
Exactly. And you're throwing Suarez, Povich, and Cole. And Cole against Heel specifically, right? Like
that looked like
100.
Jim Henneman calls that a reverse lock.
Well, he would have. I hope he played it. Because it was as reverse locky as it gets. So all of that made a lot of us say, yeah, this don't look good. This looks like a bad week on paper. Just don't get swept. To turn that into a series win, chef's kiss. I mean, it's remarkable. It doesn't, change the reality of the bad news surrounding Kyle Bradish. It doesn't change the reality that, you lost probably your most reliable bullpen arm until September. It doesn't. They still have things that they have to deal with. The pitching was still kind of a mess for the most part this week. They didn't get a single 5-inning start in this series. But the Yankees also have a really good lineup, right? So I don't think that means that like Suarez or Povich or Irvin, yes, it's been back-to-back bad starts for Irvin, but there were a lot of good starts in there too. I'm not going to panic about Cole Irvin at this point. I think we all agree that the Orioles need to be in the market for starting pitching. That's the reality. The bullpen, Brian Baker is suddenly go figure
Brian
that.
Baker.
Go figure.
The touchdown maker.
Go figure Brian Baker looking like one of the more reliable arms.
Seriously, did you raise your eyes when you heard that they brought him
Not
up?
just when they brought him up, but then when they put him in the game on Saturday,
right.
and it was a one-run game. I know you were away this weekend.
I was following it, though.
But a lot of us were there was an event for Jamie Costello, and a lot of us got together, and every single person came up to me saying that Brian Baker?
Right.
They put Brian Baker into the game? Yeah, they put Brian Baker into the game. And look at how that went. Look at this guy. Man, I love seeing this guy.
It's more handsome every 5 years.
One of my favorite human beings coming into the studio with us. Real quick before we get to him, just an update. Gunnar Henderson, man of the match for yesterday. It could have been any of them, right? It could have been just about anyone in that lineup because they were all unbelievable. But Gunnar Henderson as the tone setter, and particularly given the events of the previous day and how he handled himself after all of the bull S.
A pro.
We were
boon bullshit.
We were enamored with Gunnar Henderson before this week, but now it is almost through the roof to me, the way that he handled himself after all of that. So Gunnar Henderson takes over the season lead. He gets his 5th man of the match of the year. Brady Copeland, you're an Orioles fan. Of course you're an Orioles fan. You got to be excited right now.
I am. I'm always excited, especially, whenever you have new management taking over and to have success right out of the gate. You can't be happier. But
awesome.
I actually just came back from Birmingham, Alabama.
Were you down there for?
I was.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
It was really cool. Obviously, rest in peace to Willie Mays, but to have that type of send-off and that type of moment and to walk into the stadium with the different I guess, what is it called? I don't even know what you call them, but different places honoring him, Satchel Paige, and just all these different greats and legends, and then to get that moment of silence before that game. Pretty amazing.
Dude, there was so much from I actually spent, because the Orioles played in the afternoon, I got to spend a lot of time with the Rickwood broadcast last night, and between
they did a really nice job.
God. Reggie Jackson on the pregame show, I can't imagine anyone hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I taped it, though.
It's one of the most important things you're going to ever see, and he did not hold back discussing the racism that he experienced. It is powerful. And then the moment before the game,
was he talking to the teams? And
no,
they
he
had
was
him
sitting
mic'd up?
at the panel.
Okay.
And he used language that Fox was not prepared for.
Yeah.
But it was necessary. Yeah. It was incredible. And then it was such a little thing, but Willie Mays' son Michael coming out and saying, "Hey, my dad would have done anything to be here. He found another way to be here." It hit me big time. That was massive. I just thought everything was really good. Yeah. I should point out that Brandon Copeland is in studio with us. You guys know, we've been doing this for over a decade now with Brandon, and you guys, of course, know that he wrapped up his NFL career playing for the Baltimore Ravens, but had an incredible run. He's one of our own. He's a legacy. He's all of those things, and he does incredible things for our community. And the Back to Basics camp, how many years is this now?
This is year 8, which is pretty wild to say. Yeah, it's year 8. Yeah, man. I remember coming here for the
I said
year
back
1.
to basics. It's of course beyond the basics. I don't know.
Good.
I don't know why I said that.
All good as long as it's better than the basics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember coming in year 1 and thank you guys for always having us and being an outlet for us to get the word out about what we're doing in the community and things like that. But I just remember the goal was to start something that would be able to last beyond my career, right? There's a lot of players who play, and then as soon as they are done playing, it's over. All the community endeavors, all the things that they wanted to do are over when their football career ends. And we've been fortunate to have amazing volunteers and amazing support from the city and folks that just make it bigger and better. And as I look at what we're about to do this year, I'm just like, oh, wow, this is pretty incredible.
Tell us a little bit about Beyond the Basics. What is Beyond the Basics to you?
Yeah,
Brandon?
So it's funny. My wife and I literally, I guess maybe 9 years ago this time, we were driving home from spring ball when I was with the Detroit Lions, and literally on a napkin, we had stopped to get some food, and we're just writing out different names for a foundation. And we thought about, we came up with Beyond the Basics because there's a lot of folks who get the platform and they check the box when it comes to giving back, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, we want to take things to the next level. We want to really try to find ways to provide impact for people. So when you come to our football camp, as an example, our football camp, we don't care about football. I know that's weird to say. We have NFL players out there, we have former NFL players out there, but we care about building people who can last and who can be leaders and change makers in their communities. And the way you do that is through rewarding the way that they show up on the field for their teammates, the way that they show up and help create book bags and toiletry kits for their own city. So tomorrow we'll be giving away 800 book bags and toiletry kits to this city through the Franciscan Center, and our campers are going to do that. And so we just try to take things to the next level. We have plainclothes police officers who come and volunteer every single year, and they help out, and we try to bridge a gap between the law enforcement and the community. And what that does to a young kid, like, we could go up there and I could say in front of everybody, hey guys, let's try to think about law enforcement better, and law enforcement, you start to think about the community better as well too. There's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But what we decided to do, going beyond the basics, is all the law enforcement that come, you show up just like everybody else, and you put in that work and you volunteer. And then at the end of the camp, you say, hey, if you're a Baltimore City police officer, raise your hand. And I remember the first year we did it. Now the kids expect it, but I remember the first year we did it, you had all kids like, oh, snap. I knew it, right? But that changes your relationship with officers, because that was the same person cheering you on when you were tired, or the same person handing you a bottle of water when you were thirsty. And so now you go back to your community being a change maker and a difference maker. And so we're really, really excited. We got, it's funny, one kid we have this year, he's on the his picture's on the banner of him being a young, camper, and now he's at the University of Alabama. He walked on, and now he's working with their strength and conditioning program. He's coming back, and he's leading strength and conditioning for us. So we're really excited about what we've been able to build.
Tell me a little bit about how long is the camp? Is it just a one day, or is it a
Yeah, it's a 1 day camp. So registration opens at 8 a.m. We usually have a line around 7:45. Camp goes till 12 o'clock. We probably will go a little over tomorrow. My wife and I were actually pregnant with our third, so we're going to do a gender reveal tomorrow. Thank you.
Man.
Yeah, we're going to do the punt the football and see if we're having a boy or girl. I have two boys right now, for those who don't know. So
oh boy, a lot of pressure on this one to go the other way. A lot of pressure on this one.
I always wanted 3 boys, not gonna lie, but then now I'm kind of like, listen, I need a girl to take care of me, because the boys they'll get rid of me with an asthma attack. I'm like, all right.
This is, of course, at Gilman, Brandon's alma mater, and you do. I know it's free.
Yep.
But you do want folks to register still.
Yes.
And this is for anyone. This is not like anyone that if you got a kid, a kid that you think could benefit from coming out and spending a day at this event. This is not hey, this is only for specific. This is for anyone.
Yeah, everybody. We we like for you to register. Registration ahead of time makes it a lot easier on us the day of. We do things like you can upload your transcript, and that makes you eligible for a prize. And I mean, we just did this in Mississippi a couple weeks ago in my grandfather and grandmother's names, and we're giving away a couple laptops tomorrow, a couple iPads, some Beats, headphones,
really great.
Some speakers. Right, last year we gave away a couple PS5s and things like that. So in order for you to be eligible for those prizes, you need to register in advance and have your transcript in there as well too.
So 2 things. Number 1, what day is it? Is it
tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Yep, it's tomorrow.
And what was I had something else to ask you about. That's the first I knew. Do you do it in several cities, or just Mississippi and Baltimore.
Yeah, so this was the first year we expanded outside of Baltimore. We went to Mississippi, and that's because that's my grandparents' hometown. We've always had a vision of taking the blueprint that we've created here and taking it to partnering with other NFL players in other states and doing it in those states. So this is the first year we did it in Mississippi, and it was phenomenal. It was pretty.
How many kids?
We had 140 kids show up year one, which was great.
That's great.
And we actually got a couple of surprises. My grandfather passed away, played with the Baltimore Colts here, but
I want to talk about your shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
I really want to
This
talk
was the shirt
about
from that camp. Yeah, man. He went to Jackson State as well too, and so
Killer Hilton.
Yes.
Yep.
That's Roy Hilton was your grandfather.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
Stan knew that. He's just forgotten it over the years.
No, he used to be. He worked after his playing days. He worked at Johns Hopkins as a security guard.
Yes, he did.
And I dated a girl whose father was the athletic director? Yeah, I think he was the athletic director there. And he gave me a pass, and I used to swim there.
Oh, wow.
And Roy and I talked like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wonderful
That's
person.
awesome. That's him popping up right now, man. And so yeah, he was proud. Some of his teammates from Jackson State actually came out to the camp to support and surprised us and the family there, and it was phenomenal.
Let's say the website is beyondthebasicsinc.org.
Yes.
That's where everybody can go to sign up for the Beyond the Basics camp tomorrow. Brandon Copeland is in studio with us. I want to cover a couple other things with you, but just because you brought that up, we talked a lot about your grandfather and his legacy. To be able to do that, right? To go down there to Mississippi and do that, and to wear that, that shirt, I'm just staring at it.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Thank you.
What does that mean to you? Like, what can you put that into words?
Yeah, it's pretty hard because for me, that is the dream come true. I think it's funny because there was a couple of ways that my granddad made his presence felt that day. My grandmother, she's fortunately she's alive. I saw her the other day. She is battling with her own dementia and things like that, so unfortunately she wasn't able to make the trip. But even when she saw the camp and she read her name, she was like, how'd my name get on that shirt? Oh my gosh, which is awesome. Really, really awesome to see from an undrafted free agent, not supposed to be here on paper, so to speak, but to be able to go down there and create the camp of my grandfather's dreams, his young dreams. I can't put it into words. And so I will tell a quick story. When we were leaving, so we're based out of Florida now, and we were flying out to Mississippi, and there's a picture of my grandmother and grandfather that it was them after a game my senior year of college that somebody took, and it's a physical picture. And so last summer this time, I put it in my drawer just because I didn't want to lose it. I don't have a digital copy of it, and we're running out of the house. It's like 6 a.m. And I go into my drawer because the Chick-fil-A down there needed checks for lunch. And I'm like, all right, I could just Zelle you. I could Venmo. I could figure it out. I got the credit card, but you want to check, whatever. I'll go in and find a check. I'm rummaging through all these papers, and the picture that I find is that picture of them both. And I'm like, the day before the camp, about to fly out to Jackson, put it in my book bag with me. And I think that was message one of okay, hey, I'm here. And then it's just been incredible. So we're just keep working.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Brandon Copeland's in the studio with us. We're going to talk about a book, too, that you got coming out. But I want to throw a couple football questions in for you, if I could.
Love some football.
I want to start with, you got to spend some time with Zach Orr over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Zach Orr's taken over at a very young age as defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about knowing him and his mind, how prepared he is for this moment?
Yeah, I think he's always been ahead of his time. I mean, even when he was playing, he was a big leader of the team very, very early on. And if it wasn't for a neck injury, I mean,
he was going to be a star.
And then he takes over from the coaching ranks. And I just remember in my final season there, just the energy he brought, right? Like the one young energy, no offense to older energy, but young energy who had
none
played.
Taken.
Yeah, no offense to older energy, right? But like it was just a young energy, somebody who has played at the highest level, and you can't refute his take or perspective on the game, right? And just every single day, consistent with the energy. And even as a coach, I mean, one of the things I remember about him, because I loved it, is he coached with a chip on his shoulder, right? Like, even though the Ravens were, dominant the entire season, the entire year, he coached as if he was the Napoleon complex, the little man on the block, counted out, right? And so I cannot wait to see how this defense runs around even more this year with him taking over the helm.
Are you stunned that no one called Bill Belichick this offseason? No. Or like, do you? I genuinely think there's
energy.
But no, there's. I think there's a fair way to say, like, at some point, sometimes you have to recognize the game is different. The game has changed. That maybe it is. As great as nobody's going to debate Bill Belichick's greatness, but there might be a point. Baseball, we talked about this with Tony La Russa recently. Like, there just might be a point at which it is time. This is different now.
Yeah, I think, I think that there could be a couple of reasons. None of us know why Belichick is not coaching. Again, I do want to put that out there, but I think him getting some time away personally is probably going to be great for him. I mean, even watching him at the roast of Tom Brady, which was pretty incredible as well too. You see him smiling again. I haven't seen him smile in a long time. If you watch the Dynasty documentary, you see him start his career smiling, laughing, being one of the guys, to just robot. And the same thing happened with Nick Saban as well, too. And not that takes away from their greatness, but, the sport is meant to be enjoyed. And when you're so accustomed to winning and that becomes your low bar and your standard, now the life gets pulled out of you. So I think it's good to see him get a chance to step away, to have the ability to potentially come back different and come back more resolved. Now, when you're inviting a Bill Belichick in to lead your team, you're inviting Bill Belichick in to lead your organization.
Right.
That's a guy who knows one speed and one speed only, not, hey, coach, you handle this and we handle all the other things. He handles it all.
It feels like that's the tricky part, too. It just feels like NFL teams, and we see this in baseball now, where, like, the manager's not going to run the team. Like, the front office is running the team, and you are going to do things the way.
That's what's really ended it for him, in my opinion.
It feels like that's just where we're going now in the NFL, where, like, you're not going to come in here and run this organization. We just don't do things that way anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a business. It's hard to wrap your mind around it when you're watching it. But I remember Josh Bynes, as a rookie, one of the things he said to me, Cope, this NFL is a business. It's been here long before you. It's going to be here long after you. And so you can't take certain things personally. And it's while it is hard to be the CEO of a team, the manager of a team, the coach of a team, and to coach the building as well too, right? And to recruit everything and to know what this college person, D-end is doing.
It's a $1 billion organization, right?
Exactly. It's really, really hard. And so I think that, there are a few unique, special people who can do it. But what I'm learning, when I'm learning my own race of growth and evolution, entrepreneurship, you got to be able to delegate well. I had the owner of a team recently say to me, he was like, the reason why I'm a billionaire is because I know how to find great people and I know how to delegate well. A lot of times you try to hold on for too much, way too long. Yeah. You got to learn how to delegate well, and that's hard for some people.
Got to ask you a question. Your NFL career, Detroit played a prime part of that career. How good did it feel for you to finally watch that team really be relevant again?
Yeah, it felt phenomenal. I mean, that is a city. I love Baltimore. I love the Ravens. I love coming out and hearing the fans get more excited on defense than offense, which is hard to say though, because when you got Lamar Jackson touching the ball every play, it's pretty exciting. But a city that on third down, they know what's going on. They know how important this play is, right? It's not like that everywhere. Detroit is very similar to Baltimore in terms of a blue-collar city, people that just get up and work hard every single day for everything that they have. and they deserve a winner. Yeah. So as much as I was excited to see Dan Campbell have success, the guys in that locker room have success, I was also just frankly excited for the people in that city who've been just waiting on a winner for so long. And being loyal as well, too, for so long to get that close. And, I mean, they're right there. Yeah. They're right there.
So, all right, I knock out two more. You just brought up Lamar.
Yep.
The time that you were around, and I know it was a short time, right? Did you get a sense for what makes him like? It's so he's such a fascinating person because we know that it's like God-given gifts, right?
Yeah.
Like there's an ability there that just other humans don't have.
Yeah.
But he's never become like he's not a corporation. He's not the you're not getting some sort of sanitized version of him wherever he goes and saying all the right things. And he's a very nice person. He's a very kind person. But he is kind of unapologetically himself at all times.
Amen.
Did you get a sense for just what makes him so unique, so special?
I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that there's certain people in this world that, God just puts a little extra seasoning on, right? Like, and Lamar Jackson is one of those human beings. Watching him, one, in the way he prepared for games, but two, in the way that he also just interact with his teammates, and he just loved the game, loved the sport, loved having fun. Some people are just extremely blessed, and I say that not to take away from the work that he's put in. It's just some people are. It almost looks like he's playing a video game, and he'll speed up and it'll be so effortless. Like the game is moving in slow motion for him all the time. And I mean, you can tell that when he's going towards the sidelines and he'll speed up and slow down. And it's like Tavon Austin in high school, his highlights in high school, college, etc. Right? Like it's like he's doing that in the NFL every single week. And again, I don't want anyone to take away from the amount of hard work that he puts in. And also how hard it is for you to reach this plateau, reach this platform, reach this platform, reach the limelight, and to stay yourself, to stay true, to stay authentic. When there's so many people pulling you in different directions and trying to challenge your self-worth all the time, which has been happening since day one he entered the league. And for him to still be himself, show up week in and week out, I mean, you can't do anything but root for this young man to have extreme success.
The 18-game regular season, it appears as though it's like they're hell-bent. The commissioner for sure is hell-bent on making it happen and making the Super Bowl President's Day weekend and everybody having off the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Players, understandably, not quite as enamored with the idea of an 18-game regular season. Is it as simple as, hey, expand what you're paying us a little bit, we'll agree, that's fine? Or is there a breaking point for players with you're demanding too much? The Thursday night, the Ravens have to play on a Wednesday this week because they are so hell-bent on there being a Christmas game. Is there a breaking point for the players to say, no, it almost doesn't matter, you can't pay? Where are we with that?
Yeah, I think, one, that's a phenomenal question. I think, first and foremost, at this point in time, everything boils down to the money. And that is not to diminish health and safety, but you don't even have those conversations unless you're talking about, you can't even intrigue players and everybody else unless you're talking about the money that's involved, because that's the only reason why you start getting this creative with schedules and flying people to Brazil to play games and expanding the game, right? And frankly, the NFL and their side, that's their job. They're business folks, right? Like their job is to, if this is a publicly traded company, they're going to try to keep expanding and growing the pie, like Apple, like Microsoft, like Nvidia right now, right? But there is that.
Press box.
Like press box,
exactly.
Like press box, right? Like Governor Moore over here in this front of this
go pick it up today at your neighborhood Royal Farm.
There you go. But for the players, I do think that, beyond, can you do an 18th game if the money's right? I think you can, right?
Okay.
However, there is a breaking point, and there will need to be some concessions to make sure that they aren't. That means you need to not be getting beat up throughout the week as much in order to be able to withstand a whole 18-game season.
What did you think of the idea of OTAs? The players said, let's get no more OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, we'll come to work 3 weeks earlier in July and have like a ramp-up period to the start of training camp. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I mean, listen, as a veteran player, that would have been phenomenal.
Really?
I'll tell you that much. That'd be great for your body. Now, will coaches like it? No.
Right.
But there's always a give and a take to these things. You know, during COVID season, there was no spring, but football still looked like football. You know?
How about two things? Number one, do you think does the second bye obviously make some difference, but how important would that be? And I know that'll be a part of it. But do you think rosters will expand by 3 or 4 players?
I don't know about the roster expansion because, you know, that's, again, affecting the money. So would it be nice for players? Yeah, that's a few extra spots every single year. That means a little less wear and tear on your body. But as a coach, you know, this isn't necessarily no offense to basketball, but this isn't basketball, so to speak. The only time you see players, quote unquote, resting is if you already made it into the playoffs, you already have your bye in the bag, things like that. But other than that, football is a sport where you put on the field the people who you think will give you the best chance to win the game. So there's never going to be a coach in the middle of the season that's like, you know what, let me let you sit back.
Yeah, I'll go with guy 59 instead. Right.
Yeah. So does the expansion help? Yeah, it probably can help players, but ultimately, I'm sure there's a number of different things they're considering.
And it would seem like the second bye would allow the schedule makers to avoid, like the Ravens, when they have to play on a Wednesday, that they hadn't played. They shouldn't have to have played the previous week
in order to make that work. Right. Nope, I tend to agree with that. Money seems like a good transition point. Because I see, and we've talked so much over the years about what you've been doing to try to make people more financially. For those that don't know, Brandon literally, as he was playing football, was also teaching at an Ivy League school to try to help people.
What was he teaching, phys ed?
No.
What were you teaching?
No.
You were math?
I wish. It was kind of like math, though.
What was it?
It's called Life 101. It's financial literacy, financial education.
That's
and
fantastic.
you have taken some of these lessons, and you've got a book coming out.
Yeah, Your Money Playbook. So we've been working on it for literally 3 years, and I say we, my team and I, we've tested it with our students. We've tested it with people. And literally what we did was we took the concept of football and how I prepared for a season, but then also dove into a game and broke down the money maturation that individuals should go through into quarters. So first quarter, we need to be focusing on these things. Second quarter, we've got first quarter mastered. Let's focus on these things. Right now, we're in June right now. It's halftime. Every single business in the world, every single team you ever root for, they go into halftime and they start to evaluate themselves. Hey, what did we do right this first half of the year? What did we do wrong? Where are we going to change up as we go forward, right? And so literally breaking your money journey down and giving you tangible stories, but also steps, actionable steps to apply to anyone's life. I think the difference with myself personally that I've always just been really, really aware of is the fact that there's a lot of financial advice out there. And although it may be good, sometimes it's only speaking to one audience, right? Like I remember years ago, there was some TV networks that were like, hey, they were shooting some commercials. Can you say, you know, save 50%, live off of 30% and invest 20%? And I was like, no. I'm like, well, why can't you say that? Other people say it. I'm like, well, there's people who will look at their paychecks and be like, save 50%.
I can't live.
I can't even keep the lights on. So they don't listen to anything else. What this book has is real tangible tips that apply to almost anybody. And you can apply it to your life to meet you where you are today, to help you take that next level step to create the life of your dreams.
So you can pre-order a copy of Your Money Playbook right now at BrandonCopeland.com.
Yep.
It'll be available on September 10th
Yep.
everywhere, but you can pre-order your copy of that right now.
Thank you.
Beyond the Basics tomorrow morning, but we want you to register ahead of time so that everybody, just so these guys can know you're coming, know what kind of crowd's going to be out there. And you heard transcripts, prizes for some of these kids for the work that they've been doing.
Laptops.
There's a lot of opportunity.
iPads.
So tomorrow all day at Gilman, but go register right now at beyondthebasicsinc.org.
Am I still eligible to enroll?
Yeah,
what do your transcripts look like this semester?
My transcripts were not good this semester.
It's not good. Not good, Stan. I don't like the chances. Brandon Copeland, you know how much I love you, man.
Love you guys, too. Thank you.
And have always, more than anything, appreciated how much you care about our community. And that means everything to me, man. And I'm so happy for you and your family with a third one on the way. That's unbelievable. Thank you for stopping in and saying hello to us always, man.
Thank you always for having me. I appreciate you guys.
It's Brandon Copeland. We're going to grab a break. When we come back in, we'll talk a little bit more Orioles and a little bit more about the scenes from Rickwood Field last night. We'll do that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Hey, Birdland, head to Oriole Park at Camden Yards to watch the O's take on the Texas Rangers on Saturday, June 29th at 7:15. Be one of the first 30,000 fans 15 and over to receive a City Connect Hawaiian shirt. This year, one of the most popular giveaways features the bright and bold City Connect jersey design. And come out early for Early Bird Saturdays with live music and a special happy hour prior to the first pitch. Buy tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hagerstown, Maryland, a snapshot of American history that dates back centuries. Today, the roots of the city expand with another historical moment, the grand opening of Meredith Park, Hagerstown's new event stadium and home to the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Experience the energy, culture, and adventure. Plan your getaway today at America's newest and most innovative ballpark. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The Ed Block Courage Award Foundation has been working in partnership with the NFL for 46 years to support abused, neglected, and at-risk youth across the country, partnering each team with a children's facility or program that supports the well-being of those in need. Annually, one player from each team is selected by their peers to receive the Courage Award for their inspiration on and off the field. Learn more about how the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation makes a difference, and be sure to check out their latest podcast and web series episodes at edblock.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Yeah, and as you saw Brandon Copeland mention when he was in studio, we do have a new print issue of Press Box, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. And you can also read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. And yes, on the cover, Governor Wes Moore, as Stan and I were down in Annapolis a few weeks ago and had a lengthy chat with the governor about sports-adjacent topics, things that are relevant to his administration, the lease agreements with the stadiums, the future of horse racing in the state of Maryland, and also how his own athletic career in college helped shape his leadership now as governor of the state. So it's worth your time. This is not a political thing. This is not – it's about sports. And we would encourage you to go pick up that new print issue of Press Box today at your neighborhood Royal Farms. I want to do the This Week in the rest of baseball, but I just sent you, Griffin. If you want to pull it up, it's worth the time to listen in on Reggie Jackson from last night. And there was a little bit of last night that was, hey, let's try to present this as a TV show. But there was a lot of it that was very real and was really, really special. And this, I can't fathom was planned. I don't think there's any chance that this was on the script. But on the pregame show, Fox, and there were some other fun moments, like I think Jeter asked Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr., hey, what do you think would have happened if you would have faced Satchel Paige? And Barry Bonds was like, I would hit a home run. Like, hey, come on, Jeter, what are you doing? So that was fun, and I don't know that it made Barry Bonds seem
Satchel
personal.
Would be about 130.
Also
years
true.
old.
That's a good point, Stan. I don't think that it made Barry Bonds seem personable because I don't think that's possible. But it was about as close as you could get to that. But this was intense and real and very special. I don't know if we'll listen to the whole thing.
Probably uncomfortable too.
100%. Reggie Jackson was on the pregame panel, and boy, did he have something to say.
Reggie, the baton has been passed for over a century here. We've been talking earlier about if it wasn't for the Willie Mays, the Jackie Robinson, the Reggie Jacksons, the three of us wouldn't have an opportunity to play. How emotional is it for you to come back to a play that you played with one of the greatest teams around?
Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person? You think you won when you played here in Concord? I said, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they say, then can't stay here. We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner, and they pointed me out with the N-word. He can't come in here. Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there. He said, we're going to go to the diner and eat hamburgers. We'll go where we're wanted. Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The year I came here, Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before. And they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored. I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
I think
at the same time, had it not been for my white
I would
friends,
encourage you to listen, and I almost apologize that
I had no idea that they
and
were
Rudy Fingers and Duncan.
I almost apologize
Myers.
that we had the edited version
never,
and not the unedited version because there was incredible power in Reggie Jackson just saying, I don't care that I'm on Fox, I'm going to use the word. Yeah. You have to hear this. Stan, it was I was really blown away by baseball. Everything's just supposed to be a celebration, right? Like, look how
it's supposed to be sanitized.
Correct. Look how great we are.
It's
look
just great that Jackie Robinson broke the color line.
Right. Let's forget all of the other stuff.
Right.
And in fairness, it's one thing that some of my black friends have pointed out about integrating the Negro League statistics is, this you're whitewashing this. You're trying to make it seem like, hey, everything was cool,
Everything
right?
was cool,
like
right, yeah.
everything was fine. We
we're
all
all
played at each other.
copacetic, yeah.
Like, no, there was a huge effing problem, and we're not going to make it go away. And I appreciate Reggie Jackson saying, I don't. Yes, this is supposed to be a celebration, but like, we got to talk about what it is that we're celebrating.
Yeah. Alex wasn't prepared for that answer.
I don't know that anyone was, but also credit to them. Nobody attempted to step in. Nobody attempted to.
No.
They all allowed for the moment to play out, and it was, captivating.
I'm not saying David Ortiz, Derek Jeter, and Alex Rodriguez haven't gone through some racism in their lives.
Sure.
But they didn't experience what Jackie Robinson, what Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks, and all
I'm
those
sure
players.
you're familiar of Willie Mays' history with Hagerstown.
Yeah.
So, I talked about it. I knew the story, like, on a third level, like I had heard it from somebody. It was like a game of telephone.
Mm-hmm.
But I did some reading more this week because I just remembered there's a story about Willie Mays in Hagerstown, and after he had signed with the Giants, the first place where he showed up to play was Hagerstown. And for years, the people in Hagerstown, then the Sons, wanted to bring Willie back and recognize their part in the career of, and Willie would say, not a chance.
Not a shot. Yeah.
Because of what he experienced when he was in Hagerstown.
Yeah.
And finally, at an older age, he decided to go back, and he decided to, but that pain was extraordinarily real.
Yeah.
Like, at an elder place in his life, he hadn't forgotten 50 to 60 years. That cannot be sanitized. It cannot just be passed aside like, hey, but we all came. It's the thing.
Look, the stats are together now.
Right. Like, and as a society, we try to do this all the, well, we had a black president. Get the entire F out, man. It was really good last night. Yeah. That was spectacular. And there was some other stuff. They tried to, like, at one point they did an inning of the broadcast in black and white and with like an odd camera angle to try to make it feel. There was some stuff that was a little silly in there, but there was plenty of good. There was plenty of really, really good last night, and I give Fox and Major League Baseball a lot of credit. And yes, a lot of people have pointed out the awkwardness of Barry Bonds being so heavily involved, while there's the albatross of, you're having him stand next to Willie Mays' plaque, and yet he's not allowed to be a part of that, and that's an uncomfortable conversation. And to some extent, I do give Barry Bonds credit for not like holding that against and saying, no, this is about Willie, this is about, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be part of it, despite the awkwardness of it. I don't know. It was a lot of good.
Willie was his godfather.
Correct.
Barry Bonds' godfather.
And do you think he was the greatest player that ever played the game?
Willie Mays?
Yeah.
He was the greatest all-around player I ever saw. Yeah. And I can't calculate. I do not know if Hank Aaron, did he miss any time from military service? It's not a knock against him if he didn't miss time. But, Willie had Willie had 660 home runs, and, I think he missed 2 seasons. And I think it would be fair to say even when he came back in the 3rd season, he might have hit more home runs.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Hank Aaron did any military service.
Yeah.
So
to me, they were a lot closer than 100 home runs apart. And look, Ted Williams did 2 stints.
Right.
And he had 521. He would have been near 700. There's no question about it. Or over 700,
safe home, obviously, to Willie Mays, and it was fitting that this was the week, right? It really was fitting that.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was away, and I think either I was back Monday and read his press release that he wasn't going to be able to attend, And I said, oh, that's too bad, that he would have really liked it. And then I got to be honest with you, I was helping my wife do some things, and I turned on the game in the bedroom, and it was midway. No, I was watching the Oriole game, and they showed a clip of Willie Mays, and I wasn't hearing what went on. And I thought, oh, they're
just
paying tribute to the Rickwood game.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I got a text from somebody that said Willie Mays passed away. I was like stunned,
All right. Let's do an abbreviated version of This Week in the Rest of Baseball. You can go ahead and hit that open. No, maybe. There you go. Stan will just do it.
This week
In the rest of
baseball.
Stan, you did not do an Eric Garfield show this week, but
That
you
is
actually talked
correct.
some soccer.
We had Mike Libber on from Elite Promotions, the Elite Promotions group. They've got that big game coming up here, and it's part of the Stateside Cup with three games in between Crystal Palace, West Ham, and the Wolves.
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
The Wanderers.
Yep.
Yeah. They are playing, sort of each team will play two games. One set is in Tampa, then in Annapolis, and then in Jacksonville. And I might have inverted the Florida. It's Jacksonville, Annapolis, and all between July 27th and August 3rd. With the game a Wednesday night here, July 31st in Annapolis.
And we're looking forward to that, and you can find more information. Find that show right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. And then you, Ross, and Luke back in action on Monday.
Luke will not be part of it.
Luke's away next week.
And in fact, Ross is trying to get Mike Boddicker on.
That'd be neat. That'd be neat.
To
I know
talk
you
a little
wrote
bit
that.
about
You
my
wrote that
piece
column.
about Kate Povich.
Yep. All right.
Now it's time for the rest.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible not to obviously do this without mentioning Rickwood. But yeah, I mean, you guys covered pretty much everything that needs.
The Cardinals won the game. There was a baseball game.
It was a nondescript game.
Yes.
But
Who's he play for? Rickwood.
Ricky Wood. Richard Wood.
But it is kind of, I saw some people throwing out the idea, like, why doesn't baseball do this more, especially over the summer? Like,
well, they've tried to do,
these
obviously,
Thursday nights might,
the Field of Dreams game. The reason, actually, this in part happened because they're renovating the Field of Dreams in Iowa, so they're not doing a Field of Dreams game this year. But the idea that they couldn't do one of both every year, and they do the Little League Classic every year, and I've suggested before they should go out to Utah and do a Sandlot game every summer. That would be really fun. They're doing the London thing every year. Yes, something that just breaks up the mundane, the monotony of a 162-game season. How do you make any of these 162 feel any different? They also used to do a military thing where they would like build on like at Fort Bragg or something like that. They build a temporary and do a Sunday night game there. I've kind of wondered why they wouldn't just do a game at like the Naval Academy or at Army, at Air Force, something like that.
Yeah, Air Force.
I feel like, I guess maybe the cadets wouldn't be there over the summer, so that might make it a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
But it feels like, yes, to the point, there are opportunities to.
Would Thursday night be the night to like try to concentrate these things?
Yeah, I mean, they do
it's-
Little League on Sunday night. That's become a thing. Obviously, the Orioles played in that 2 years ago, and I think that it did feel a little bit different. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched any of the Little League Classics that the Orioles were not involved with.
Right.
I have tuned into the Field of Dreams game just because the visual is so cool of the cornfield that like I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I did tune into that. I don't know if that was because it was the first one. Like, would I feel like it was appointment viewing next year if they did it again? I don't know. I don't tune into London.
Right. And that's why I'm like trying to hyper focus on Thursday night. I guess like does that somehow make it because there's not everybody plays on Thursday, so it's more likely
I mean,
that
it would have
having
been problem
a 7,
if
8 o'clock
you say
game-
that if Game 6 of the NBA Finals had been last night,
That's true.
that would have
That's
been
true.
problematic. Like they kind of lucked out. They wanted to do it Juneteenth week. That made all the sense in the world to try to do it around Juneteenth. But if that had been Game 6 of the NBA Finals last night in a 3-2 series, it would not have
been
got
a very small crowd.
Exactly right. So you got to be careful about that too.
All right, going back to last week, Shota Imanaga has kind of essentially become the Friday starter for the Cubs, especially when they're playing like these. They have those day home games on Fridays, which is kind of cool. So this was going around last week. His locker said Mike Imanaga the second. And everybody was like, why? Like, reporters were like, why does it say that? Why does it say that? And he's like, well, so he said Mike is his coffee name when he orders a cup of coffee at the coffee shop because it's much easier
than Shota.
Than Shota.
You didn't have to say it 4 times.
Yeah. And then they were like, why
Shota?
Is he a Starbucks man or is he a...
I did not get to the bottom of that, unfortunately.
Way to go.
I know, I'm sorry.
Everybody around town
wanting
to replicate Shota Imanaga.
Possible
I think he's a Dunkin'.
Do you think he's a powdered donut guy too? No.
And they asked, why are you Mike the second? And he said, well, because it sounds cool.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
He's on the mound today again for the Cubs as they take on, I forget, the Mets. They're playing the Mets
Worth
today.
a bet today?
Worth
a bet?
Well, I don't know. The Mets. That was the other thing. The Mets have been very good.
Well, it's over though.
It is. They have lost, but they're still playing well since. You know who Grimace is, Stan?
See, Stan know who
Ross
Grimace
Grimsley?
is.
No.
Grimace.
No,
like the McDonald's character, Grimace.
No,
you don't know the
not.
big purple. How do you not know
He
Grimace?
doesn't need to know
I don't
this.
have kids.
This dates back.
I don't think
to,
he needs to know this. I mean, it doesn't change his life.
So Grimace is
it Rickwood Field?
No, it has nothing to do with Rickwood
He's
Field.
this big purple mascot for.
Now I know who.
Yeah.
What you're talking
Yes.
Of course. I know his name.
You know this handsome gentleman right here.
There's that purple mascot. I didn't know he had a name, Grimace.
Yes. So he threw out the first pitch. I guess it was Friday, Saturday, over
no,
the weekend.
Last week.
Yeah.
They won 7 straight games, so it had to be more like midweek last week.
Yeah, maybe you're
Did
right.
he throw it better than 50 Cent?
Almost certainly. Well, anybody.
I think he threw it better than J.J. McCarthy and
that was rough.
And Dallas Turner as well. Neither of them hit the mitt. But yeah, so the Mets have been really good since Grimace threw out the first pitch.
So they're 7-1 now.
I think they're 7-1 because they didn't play yesterday. I believe that
would
be correct.
So the Mets, of course, were garbage, and then they won 7 straight games, and so the belief was that their season had been saved by Grimace.
Mm-hmm.
That
they made it like their logo, like when they were tweeting out the scores after the game in the little graphic, they made it like Grimace wearing a Mets hat.
Okay,
as
cool.
their new logo. So yeah, so that is one of the biggest stories in baseball.
I wonder how Mr. Met felt about that.
Oh boy, or Mrs. Met, right? Like I don't know if that got a little uncomfortable, or if maybe perhaps Mrs. Met. Do you think there could have been an affair between Mrs. Met and Grimace?
Oh gosh.
Oh boy, we might have to get to the bottom of this. Might have to get to the bottom of this.
You know, she'd have every opportunity when she knew Mr. Met was at Citi Field.
It's a great point to just run off with.
Kind of like
hey,
the morning DJ.
Hey, hon, you can work this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
She's kind of like the morning DJ.
I can't believe I'm about to do this. You know that the internet is infatuated with Mrs. Met.
No, I did not know that. I don't know.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
They're infatuated with her?
Yeah, Mrs. Met.
Is there Mrs. Met porn?
Oh, God.
Mrs. Met, the internet is a big fan of.
Wow.
Yeah, the view when Mrs. Met is walking up the aisle. Big fan of what Mrs. Met has going on. Leave it at that.
Snoop Dogg was calling some of the Brewers games.
It was
over
great.
The weekend.
Yeah,
it
was
was
tremendous.
I guess I don't need to play any of the clip. I couldn't.
I played some on the radio the other day.
Is he on with Bob Uecker?
No, Bobby wasn't working that game.
Yeah, he was on the TV. I think he was doing the TV.
It was Bill Schrader. I don't remember who their play-by-play guy is now. Brian Anderson, right? And Bill Schrader. And it was tremendous. Like do you have the Ellie De La Cruz one, the rocket in his pocket?
I don't know. I just have the full.
The 3-minute clip. Yeah, you can play a little bit of that.
Play like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's a bouncing ball to second. Look at Terrain. Pickett.
Easy to 1-2-1-2. That'll do what it do. Sanchez on the 1-2. What I told you. Get it in there. Oh, he in there. That's Sanchez. That's yes. I told you, baby. We call that an easy walk in the park. That's a base hit. Give him a single. He does like to mingle. And my favorite jingle is the S to the N, double O, no.
You squeezed that in there already.
Oh, get it in there. Get it in there. He could just run it out. Ah, he's safe.
Run it out. It's tough to rhyme orange.
Yeah.
How about Jackson Churio?
Churio.
Oh, boy.
Churio. live in stereo with my main man, Jackson Cheerio. Oh, he's taking off. He gone. He gone. Let him get there. Let him get there. Where'd he go, Park?
Yeah, we get there was also Ellie De La Cruz made a play from short. That was very good, but not like the greatest play you've ever seen. And Snoop was fascinated, like just over the top. Oh, he can't get him. Oh, he did. Oh, he did. He's got a rocket in his pocket. Like Snoop was tremendous.
I can just imagine some farmers in
Wisconsin,
listening to.
Yes, Bally Sports Midwest, by the way.
It was great. It was great. They should. Snoop enjoyed it. It was wonderful. He played along the whole thing. It was excellent.
I didn't. As I was going through, I realized I have a lot of Brewer stuff. I don't know why, but did you see Bryce Wilson was also asked after the game about the Joey Ortiz Corbin Burns trade?
Yeah, and he said, "I bet the Orioles regret that," or something like that.
Yeah. Some people were up in arms about it. I mean, I didn't really.
Look, I think he's trying to talk up his guy.
Exactly,
like I think that's what he's trying to do. So I don't have any issue with it.
He said, with all due respect to Corbin or something, I think the Orioles made a mistake or something.
Yeah, look, man, talk up your guy. I'm not. There's not. That's not going to bother me. But in the real world,
now what's his connection? Is he from Milwaukee?
Who?
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
he was there playing a show,
okay.
and they just asked if he wanted to come over and sit in on the broadcast, and he said okay.
Yeah. He sounded like he was the biggest fan of
Yeah, he was really enjoying it, which I thought was fun. Yeah. Like, he genuinely seemed to be into it. I don't have any issue with Bryce Wilson. Talk up your guy, say, we love our guy, and Joey Ortiz has been great. And it's the thing that we keep talking. We knew that was possible. No one in Baltimore thought the Orioles were throwing away trash when they traded away Joey Ortiz. No one here thought Joey Ortiz couldn't play baseball. We all knew there was a chance that Joey Ortiz was a really good baseball player, but he was blocked here. And Corbin Burns has been everything that we thought Corbin Burns would be, if not more, and particularly looking around at the Orioles. It's been a miracle what they've gotten out of Corbin Burns this season. Sometimes trades work for both teams. Yeah. It happens.
That's the way it's supposed to work. It
Correct.
Really is.
And so, it's all good. I think all of us are happy for Joey Ortiz, frankly.
It was interesting that Jayson Stark,
who we're about to talk to, we're about to talk to Jayson Stark.
But he mentioned that concept of trading somebody who is blocked for what you need.
Right, correct.
And that's what the Orioles did.
You'll hear more about that in literally just a minute.
Ellie De La Cruz also in this game. Apparently this Brewers-Reds game had everything though. This past weekend, or the series had everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie De La Cruz scored from home. I'm going to play the video. There's no need to really hear the audio, but he scored from second base. They tried to pick off.
Pickoff gets by. De La Cruz takes off. Perkins from center. Wave is on. Perkins barehand. Throw to the plate. Here's De La Cruz. Candelario loving it.
He's very fast.
Ray tried again to pick him off,
also,
and De La Cruz scores from second on an errant pickoff throw.
He's something else. Back to the wickets.
Yep. To end the game. A pretty ultimate, awesome play.
And then the only other thing, actually two other things. Paul Skeens, another 7 strikeout game. He's been
Pickoff gets by. De La Cruz takes off. Perkins from center. Wave is on. Perkins barehand. Throw to the plate. Here's De La Cruz.
This is the 7-man.
Candelario loving it.
Because of the catch
Ray tried again to pick him off, and De La Cruz scores from second on an errant pickoff throw.
The challenge system for every AAA game starting next week. Every AAA game will have the challenge system for balls and strikes, which everyone seems to think is the last stop for. It could be that the challenge system exists in Major League Baseball as soon as next year, right? What is the right number in the internet where the Norfolk Tides play, the International League? It is going to be 2 challenges per game.
You mean the team has 2 challenges a game.
Which seems
way too low.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the correct number is. I think this is baseball panicking about hey, we figured out the games can't go too long.
Right.
The product, and everyone agrees, the product it's all working. Right. More people are watching. More people are going to the games.
This has to be decided instantaneously.
Correct.
It's like sort of the manager goes,
"Yep,
I want to challenge that strike," and it should take 5 seconds.
And that's why it seems like panicking about the number of challenges is now, as they point out, if this is not it's 2 wrong challenges. You get as many, as long as you're getting your challenges correct, you can have as many of them as you want.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to get them correct. And so I do think that's, I don't know what the right number is.
I don't know what the right number is either.
But it does look like we are on the cusp of this is happening, and it might be literally as soon as next year.
Do you agree with the premise why they ended up doing the challenge system
instead of ABS?
Of total ABS?
It
just seems like they think that this is the newest thing that people will be talking about rather than going full ABS. I don't know.
I think that the players have said we don't want it. Every time, look, I have talked to as many guys as I possibly can about it. And every single one of, I'm not surprised that the hitters don't want ABS. You and I have talked about it. The strike zone is larger. The moment it's larger by the size of a baseball, the moment that you go to full ABS. The pitchers not wanting it has been the far more fascinating. And the answers that I've gotten have been twofold. One, the pitchers are fearful that they're going to artificially make the strike zone smaller to overcompensate for that. And they say we like knowing the umpire strike zone and being able to manipulate it.
Okay.
Like that, we see this with Corbin Burns all the time. Who the strike zone's 2 inches lower, that's he is pinpointing that ball 2 inches lower every time.
I think that's so short-sighted.
I agree.
Because the guy I use as the example, I'll never forget when Kevin Gausman was kind of, what's it called when you're with your teeth when you're young? You're
teething?
Yeah, that's teething, but that's not what he anyway, he was learning the art of pitching in Baltimore. He didn't know how to pitch. And so many times he'd get a bad call on a strike.
Right.
And then the next guy would then the next 8 pitches were fouled off.
Right.
And suddenly his pitch count jumped tremendously by one muffed call.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand pitchers not wanting the predictability.
Oh, I would bet the younger pitchers would all say,
Yeah.
I think it's the veteran pitchers that are stepping in and saying, no, we figured this out.
Yeah.
And don't take away.
But I've talked to a number of pitchers, and the only one that agreed with me was Dave Johnson. About
ABS?
ABS.
Yeah. Look, man, I'm a tennis fan. We talked about it before. It's the moment that this came into tennis, it changed the sport.
Yeah.
And everybody could just say, okay, no need to scream, no need to. I was talking about it with Buck last week.
So if it's one per, let's say each team had one per inning, so you'd have 18 potential challenges every game. 18 times 5 would be, let's even say 8 seconds.
That would be 70, 80. 18 times 5 would be 80 seconds.
80 seconds.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like.
It doesn't seem like that.
Yes.
Suddenly, the time of game pool is going to be thrown off by a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
Completely agree, Stan.
So that to me would be sort of the number I would be thinking.
1 per inning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about
now,
like 150, 140 pitches per team.
Right.
Per game.
Right.
280, and you're going to give you 2.
I'm with you. All right, Stan alluded to it. We had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule, but we had the opportunity to catch up with Jayson Stark.
We're talking to him right now.
Right now, live. Jayson Stark from The Athletic here on GCR. Well, Stan, I don't know if when our next guest wrote his weird and wild short earlier this week about how the Orioles had won or tied 21 consecutive ALS East series, it might not have been because he expected that streak was going to end this week, because I think a few of us here in Baltimore would probably have to admit we thought that streak was probably going to end.
Especially after we lost the first game of the series and then faced
Povich,
Garrett Cole and
the whole
Luis
thing.
Gil. Yeah.
Not the case. It's obviously the Orioles extended that to 22 series. Joining us now, one of our favorites, longtime MLB writer from The Athletic. He is Jayson Stark, and he's with us now here on GCR. Jayson, were you among us thinking, hey, this probably has a good chance of being the end of the road this week?
Well, Glenn, if you injected me with a little truth serum, I would say it crossed my mind, okay? I didn't know that they were going to win that series or lose that series because I'm not that smart, but I thought if I'm going to write this, I don't think I should wait till after that series. You know what I mean?
I get it. We were all feeling the exact. It's hard to quantify this, right? Because winning a bunch of series, or at least not losing a bunch of series, does not give you a World Series title. It's much like the Orioles' sweepless streak that ended a few weeks ago, right? It doesn't guarantee anything, but we know it's a statement about how good this ball club really is.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And, it's fun to go through the other teams that have done this. I asked stats to help me with that. There were a couple Big Red Machine teams. They were pretty good. There was that Braves team from the 90s and early 2000s. They won a few games. There was a Brewers team with Robin Yap, Paul Molitor back in the 90s. That was a good group. I would say that these Orioles have a long ways to go before they're the Big Red Machine. But what separates this streak from the other streaks is look at the division this was compiled in. And I was trying to update this since I wrote the piece, and I think that the AL East, in the time that this streak has been going on, other than when they play the Orioles, is a combined 121 games over 500, whereas the other teams played against divisions that were 179 games under 500 combined. So does that seem a little different to you?
Yeah, significantly.
Not apples to apples.
I that sounded. I didn't do the math immediately. Was that like a 300 game difference that you just?
It's almost 298.
Wow, that is
no 100. No, you're exactly right. It's 300 now.
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
Because we're at 121. Yeah, good math.
That is unbelievable.
Jayson, did you by any chance get to see yesterday's game?
I was writing, Stan, but I did see a lot of it late. It was crazy.
It was crazy. I'm wondering two things. The approach that the Orioles took on Luis Gil was uber aggressive. In other words, they didn't want to let him get to 2 strikes on you. That was one thing. And I'm also wondering if the faux BS that the Yankees called by clearly having Gonzalez throw at Gunnar Henderson the night before, whether you think either of those things played a part in yesterday's total domination.
Well, I mean, I thought the approach against Luis Gil was the key to everything.
Yeah.
I know you said they didn't want to get to strike 2. It didn't look to me like they wanted to even get to strike 1.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
I don't remember how many guys swung at the first pitch, but it felt like everybody swung at the first fastball. And, when stuff like this happens, I never think it's just the pitcher had a bad day. I'm sure that lineup was prepared to take that approach. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that they had some indicators of when a fastball was coming based on something he did in his delivery, and they were all over it and all over him. That there's a lot that was incredible about that start, but all right, Luis Gil gives up 7 runs in 4 outs. He'd given up 7 runs in his previous 166 outs.
Wow.
Okay, he gave up 4 hits with runners in scoring position. He'd given up 5 all year in 14 starts. So that approach changed everything about that game because it forced the Yankees to play catch-up. The other stuff, the hit-by-pitch stuff, there's no way that they hit Aaron Judge intentionally, but we know how baseball works.
Yeah. Real quick, do you think that scouting, the way the Orioles approach Gil, what does that bode for him moving forward? Won't his next couple starts be fascinating to watch?
Absolutely. He's trying to get him through the season.
Yeah.
Is one of the most important challenges that the Yankees face. I mean, it's one of the reasons that getting Garrett Cole back now is so important because, he spent 2.5 months having to be Garrett Cole, Now, they've got to watch his innings. They've got to watch his workload. And it really wouldn't shock me if they backed off on him, maybe even next start, because I don't think that was necessarily a sign of a guy hitting the wall, but his command was very different than anything we'd seen before. There are two teams playing. I used to tell my wife that all the time when she was coaching, right? The great teams don't let you do what you like to do, and that was part of it. I think they shook him up by being as aggressive as they were and being and getting on the fastball the way they did. But he's a pivotal figure in the AL East moving forward. You're absolutely right.
Jayson Stark from The Athletic is with us here on GCR. Jason, we're talking about Yankees pitching. On the flip side, as great of a week as it was for the Orioles, in this series, they didn't have a starter go 5 innings. And we acknowledge that, like, Burns and Grayson Rodriguez didn't throw, and Dean Kramer looks like he's going to be coming back soon. But how much did that, on the flip side, as good as the series was, sort of scream out, hey, the Orioles have to, with the Bradish sideline, they're going to have to acquire a starter before the deadline if they really want to have a run at a World Series?
Well, that is the question right now. 2 weeks ago, if you'd asked me if the Orioles might make a big payout for a starting pitcher, I'm not so sure I would have said yes.
Right.
Doesn't seem like that's the way Mike Elias does business. But when you lose 2 guys to Tommy John surgery in 2 weeks, it changes the equation. We've just watched the Orioles for a week play the best team in the National League and the best team in the American League going in, right? And did they look like a team that could easily beat either of those teams or anybody else in a postseason series? I think the answer is yes. So, okay, the window to win a World Series opens now. And do they need another starting pitcher to do that? I think they probably do. And then the other question I would have is, how comfortable do you feel with Craig Kimbrell at the end of a postseason game? Yep. Ask the Phillies that question.
What's fascinating to me about Kimbrell is last year, I watched him pretty carefully once the Orioles acquired him. I went back and looked at his numbers. Last year, he threw 68 innings, struck out 95 batters, and hadn't thrown that many innings since 2018. When he really ran up against his blip about a month ago or 5 weeks ago, he was on pace to throw 90 innings. Since they've backed off of him, he's been really pretty damn good.
The other night obviously didn't go well, right?
No,
but,
of course
not. Yeah, well, I live in Philadelphia, as you guys know, and I saw a lot of him last year. And he had long stretches last year where he was really good.
Yep.
Here's the problem. I think we all have in our memory banks what Craig Kimbrell used to be. And when he has these stretches where he's really good, if he pitches for your team, you're trying to convince yourself he's found that again. And that's not true. He's not that guy anymore. His stuff isn't quite the same. And his delivery can get out of whack so fast. It's an issue. He clearly wore down as the season went on last year. I'm sure that if you watch him, it gives you the best chance to avoid that this year. But the big innings can steamroll on that guy with one at bat. And I still think he's a valuable member of any bullpen. But when you think about some of the great closers who have gone out there in October, is he still that? It feels like in his whole career, he's never quite been that in October, right?
Yeah.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Jason, just another couple minutes of Jayson Stark here on GCR. I realize this question doesn't actually matter, but I'll give it to you anyway. You referenced, they just took 2 out of 3 from both the Phillies and Yankees. Today, are the Baltimore Orioles the best team in baseball?
I know that the standings might say otherwise, but when you just watch them play, and you look at every underlying metric, I think they are. I mean, especially the team on the field.
Right.
I remember talking to you at spring training, Glenn, and saying when you watch them even like take their kids on the road. It felt like you were watching a Futures game. I mean, the array of talent everywhere on the diamond, not just in Baltimore, but in AAA, is unlike anybody else runs out there. It's so dynamic. It's so electric. It's intimidating. The pitching staff is another story. It's obviously not the best staff in baseball, but are they the best team in baseball? They've got the best run differential. They've dominated the best division in baseball. They've crushed winning teams, right? Look at the record against teams 500 or better. They can beat anybody. So I would say the answer is yes. But I think a lot of how this season turns out will definitely be determined by the deadline. And that means by what they do and what the other good teams do.
Jayson, I'm only asking this because you're old enough to, like me, and you're younger than me, I know, but to remember the 1983 season and the World Series. I wrote a piece last week, and at the outset, I said it's not apples to apples, but I wrote the piece on the premise that could Cade Povich be the 2024 version of Mike Boddicker? And I wrote that after he had shut out the Atlanta Braves for 6 innings. Your thoughts on the opportunity that Povich has in front of him? And I know he's not as finished a product as Boddicker was, but yet Boddicker only had thrown 38 innings in the major leagues in 3 cups of coffee in 80, 81, and 82. And then Mike Flanagan's injury really gave him an opportunity that he ran with.
Yeah, I think opportunity is a great word to use, Stan, because when your team's down 3 starters for the year, it's an opportunity for everybody to take that step. And it's really early to try to assess what Cade Povich is going to be. Yeah. There's no disputing that the stuff is crazy good, and the swing and miss is undeniable. But baseball is hard. The big leagues are hard. It's going to be really fascinating to see what he does over the next few weeks, because we talked about how Mike Elias doesn't like to overpay. Yeah. Right? And at the deadline, and I don't know. Do you see a lot of difference-making starters who are going to be out there that you could get if you don't overpay? Because I don't see that. Yeah. And so there's certainly a chance for a guy like this to make the general manager say, we're good.
Mm-hmm. The one name I wanted to run by you, again, trying to find someone that might be able to be helpful but might not break the bank. Does Eric Fetty fit that bill for you, Jayson Stark?
He's a pretty interesting guy because I never thought that when he was in Washington. No. But he's really been a shining light in it's 2 months. He's not a top of the rotation starter, but could he start a playoff game, a game 3 or game 4? I think he could be that. In terms of just pure raw stuff, he's not Jesus Luzardo, he's not Garrett Crochet, but there's worse options. And the great position that the Orioles are in is I would think he's a guy who would be reasonably priced. And I think the template for any deal that Mike would make is obviously the Corbin Burns deal. Find a couple of guys who would be top 10 prospects anywhere else, but are completely blocked from playing here, and then deal them for that piece or pieces that you need. So, that part of the puzzle fits, I think.
Jayson, last question I have for you. I would be remiss if Willie Mays' name wasn't mentioned, but I'll only mention it in comparison to because I think he was the greatest player I ever saw, but I'm mentioning it in comparison to Gunnar Henderson as potentially the best Oriole of all time.
Shoo.
I know it's early, in a long career, but your assessment of the uniqueness of Gunnar Henderson.
Okay, I'm trying to think through the best Oriole of all time argument, and the problem is that to be the best Oriole of all time, don't you have to play for the Orioles as long as Ripken and Brooks?
Yes,
and
yes.
I don't know how confident I am that that's going to happen. He does have Scott Boras for an agent.
Yeah.
But if the question is about skill set and you're invoking Willie Mays, you're clearly talking about the power speed defense combination, and he's got that. I mean, we're just talking about how hard baseball is, especially if you're a young player. Eno Saris and I have a big piece in The Athletic today about how offense has fallen to nearly historic lows and how hard it is for everybody to hit, with a lot of good hitters talking about how defense has evolved, outfield defense has evolved, and pitch mixes and pitch labs, and just how hard it is to hit. It doesn't seem that hard when Gunnar Henderson's batting. Okay, so that tells you all you need to know.
And he's got the killer instinct that
so,
I see
he does.
very rarely.
And as Stan alluded to earlier, the way that he handled all of the BS this week in New York, he could not have handled any of that any better.
That kid's got his act together, doesn't he?
Sure does. Yeah. Jason, is there anything else we can plug for you, my friend?
Well, I just got a chance to plug my big story about offense. There's a lot of fun data in there and quotes from players, executives. Bruce Bochy sneaked in there. Yesterday, I wrote Willie Mays by the numbers. There are no numbers like Willie Mays' numbers, so check that one out. All in The Athletic.
I'm a Starkville guy, too, myself.
I'm a Starkville guy, too. If you get a chance on our website, PressBoxOnline.com, Jim Henneman wrote a piece, a reflection piece on Willie Mays that I think you'd really enjoy.
I can't wait to read it. Thanks for putting that out, Stan.
Jason Stark, always appreciate you, sir. Thank you for spending the time with us this morning.
Hey, I love talking to you guys. Thanks.
The great Jayson Stark, always incredible stuff. And, look, today the Orioles have the right to say they're the best team in baseball. But you don't hang banners for being the best team in baseball on June 21st. And that was sort of, I think some people took what I tweeted something afterwards, like that was an incredible, awesome, amazing, outstanding series win. But it was a regular season series win in June.
Yep.
And I just think this franchise, and this is a testament to them, is beyond popping bottles over winning a series in June. I think that they're at a place where that's cool. That's a great thing to do, and particularly given the circumstances, it was a lot more fun. But that alone is no longer an accomplishment. Like they're past that. They're on to bigger and better things, and this is
and I think they know that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
Yep.
I didn't see the popping.
Yeah, they had fun yesterday because it was a fun game. Obviously, you win 17-5, you're gonna have fun. But no, they didn't treat it like this was our Super Bowl. It was, that's what we expect to do because we're that good.
We're that good.
Continue along on a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Stan the Fan Charles is in studio with us. Next up on the hit parade, a trip to Houston this weekend to take on the Astros. Joining us now, always enjoy catching up with one of their play-by-play voices. He is the great Todd Kalas, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Todd, it's Glenn and Stan Charles here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Hey, no problem. How's it going, guys?
Well, as you'd imagine, everything in Baltimore is going really well, Todd. It is a good time to be here. The Astros, I'm going to ask it broadly because it covers a lot. What are the Astros? They've been very bad. They were really good. What are the Astros at this point, approaching the midway point of the 2024 season?
Yeah, kind of to be determined. They haven't been able to get out of this malaise that has seen them stay between 5 and 12 games under 500 ever since the 12th game of the season. They're back to 5 games under. They keep reaching that point, and then they can't get any further closer to 500. So it's been a frustrating year, no doubt about it. They still have a lot of super talented players. They just haven't put it all together. Some of that's injury-related. Some of that's performance-related. They basically have a plus run differential, but they're still 5 games under 500. So They come into this Baltimore series having won 2 out of 3 over the weekend in the past 3 days over Chicago, but it was a White Sox team that pretty much handed them the game yesterday, and the Astros need to play better than they did against the Chicago White Sox to have a chance against Baltimore this weekend, because they played okay, but they didn't play their best baseball.
The pitcher tonight, Jake Bloss, making his Major League debut. What should we know about Jake?
Yeah, kind of funny. I was doing my work on him last night on the flight home and this morning. We have not met him yet because he just got called up. Technically, he's not on the active roster until a few hours from now when they make the move. But Joe Espada and Dana Brown saying that he's going to make that start tomorrow. I know he's a highly intellectual kid. He's got a dual degree from Lafayette. He did that in 3 years after going to one of the most prestigious high schools in North Carolina. He's from Greensboro. So he went to Lafayette College, got a dual degree, went on to Georgetown, got a master's degree, and then started his baseball career. A kid who's really jumped up quickly. He was a third-round pick last year, so he's less than a year removed from the draft. He is Dana Brown, the new GM's first draft pick to make it to the major league, so he obviously has a special place in his heart for him. We saw him make 8 starts at Double-A. The last start was a 6-inning no-hitter, and a reliever, Cesar Gomez, came in and combined to complete that no-hitter. Good stuff, not overpowering stuff. His strikeout totals when he got to Double-A were below 1 an inning, so that usually doesn't portend for a big strikeout total at the big league level. But a heady kid, he's not going to overpower you, but he's figured it out over the past year to be good enough for the Astros to call him up here. Listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I hope the kid does well. But he wasn't going to make a major league start this year had it not been for 6 to 8 injuries for the rotation right now.
Todd, a quick question. I want to be refreshed, my memory refreshed. The Abreu signing, am I right that took place in between the time that James Click left and Dana Brown was brought in, so it really more falls on Jim Crane?
Yeah, that's certainly exactly what happened. Jim Crane had advisors at that point, but it was a time when there was no general manager. Yep, that's true.
So I guess it can't seem like it was that surprising at that point. I know it's an insane amount of money, obviously, to just choose to eat, but it really was going that badly. What was the reaction in Houston?
The reaction, unfortunately for Jose, was it had to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a matter of time, right? The guy was trying his hardest to get back, and he is a true professional. And all the good things you hear about Jose Abreu as a guy in the clubhouse were absolutely true. One of the nicest men that I've met who was a superstar prior to coming here. So, yeah, he worked his tail off. It's just, the old adage of Father Time being undefeated, and Father Time got to Jose Abreu. The swing just wasn't as quick, and the hands just weren't as quick, and the recognition of the pitches wasn't as sharp. So 3 years, or not even halfway through a 3-year contract, the Astros didn't have any choice but to part ways with him. Now, it's not like they have a superstar rising in the minor leagues to take over first base. They're going with John Singleton right now. John's done okay, but his numbers and Jose Abreu's numbers combined are still 30th out of 30 teams in the major leagues at first base in terms of WAR and production. So that's been part of the issue, is the Astros just haven't gotten much out of their first base position this year.
How much business do you expect Dana Brown to make between now and the trade deadline? Do you think there's still movable pieces that can bring back a return?
I don't even know, as we sit here now, whether they're going to be buyers or sellers. I know Dana has said publicly multiple times he can't see any scenario where they're sellers. But if they don't get back to 500 by the All-Star break, if they're still sitting in this 5 to 12 game below 500 drought where they've been, then I think you have to seriously consider looking at the possibility of being sellers. As much as that's so anti-Astros in the past 7 years, it certainly has to be in consideration. So, yeah, and until they figure out who they are, and that was the first question you guys had for me, until they figure out who they are in the next 3 weeks, I don't know if we know what direction the Astros are going to go.
And along those lines, the injuries help Joe Espada get a pass on blaming him?
Yeah, I mean, Joe's doing what he can with the pieces that he can. I mean, He has had to deal without Kyle Tucker here for almost 3 weeks now. He had Jordan Alvarez missing the first 2 games of this series. We've mentioned all the pitching injuries. You can go down the line, but basically, on the pecking order of 1 through 10, Jake Loss wouldn't be on the top 10 of your starting pitchers coming out of spring training, but he is going to make a start today. So that's part of it. Joe's still only in his first year. I think any manager deserves at least a couple of years to figure out where they are. I don't like any scenario where a manager goes 1 year and then is in trouble for their job. So, I would like to see Joe get this year, next year, see where things are, and hopefully this year it gets turned around.
I acknowledge, we're chatting with Todd Kalas here on GCR before the Orioles open up this series in Houston. Todd, I acknowledge what you just said, I think, is the story, and it's the story for so many teams in baseball right now, which is we got to see. And the Astros still are the Astros. Like, there are still the core parts there that, we have seen stretches where they've kind of turned it on a little bit this season. If that doesn't occur, and I know this is complicated by him being back on the injured list right now, but it would seem like the Verlander conversation would probably be the loudest and maybe the most interesting to us in Baltimore, because there's been a belief that Baltimore is somewhere that Justin Verlander would be willing to go. He's from this part of the world, and obviously there's a connection with Mike Elias. What is Justin Verlander at 41 years old in the brief time that you were able to see him pitch this season?
Yeah, he's still a very good pitcher. He's not going to win a Cy Young Award at age 41, or he's not going to win a Cy Young Award next year, although I say that, and he completely shocked me by winning one coming off Tommy John surgery. So he's kind of one of those guys that's built. You never want to compare a guy to Nolan Ryan because Nolan's one of a kind, but he's kind of built in those same lines where he might be able to pitch into his mid-40s and be successful. I don't think he's going to be dominant in his 41, 42, 43 season, but he's going to give you, when he's healthy, he's going to give you a start every 5 days and give you a chance to win. He's going to be one of the better options around. So that's an interesting name for a potential trade piece, because if he is hurt for more than a week or two, then he's probably not going to qualify for his player option next year, which needs to be triggered with 140 innings. So then you're talking about a guy, when is he going to come back from injury? How many starts can we get out of him? And we don't have him for next year either, which actually could be attractive to a team because they aren't on the hook for $35 million for Justin Verlander at age 42 next year if he doesn't get to 140 innings. So long-winded answer to your question, you would get a guy who's got huge postseason experience, who's still going to be one of the better pitchers in the game. If the Astros do decide that they're sellers, I would think there would be a lot of interest in the future first ballot Hall of Famer.
Todd, we just celebrated Father's Day over the past weekend. I was a big fan of your dad's, living in Baltimore, which is close enough to Philly that you'd hear him quite a bit. The job that you do, is it a double-edged sword for you that every day you go into a ballpark when you're working that makes you think of your dad, so it's tough, or does that give you great sort of warmth and positive feelings?
Yeah, all positive, right? So whenever I think about baseball, think about going to stadiums, it's always, dad's in the back of my mind. Obviously, whenever we go to Philly or whenever I go to D.C. where he passed, that's first and foremost on my mind. So, yeah, it's always a special feeling to go into a ballpark knowing Dad was probably there working in that same booth years prior. So I miss our conversations, even though it's been it's crazy to think about, but it's been 15 years now, almost 16 years since he passed.
You got to be kidding me. I'm always blown away by that. Jeez whiz.
Yeah, 15 years. 15 years. We just 15 years this past April.
Wow.
So, yeah, 15 years since he passed, and I still miss our baseball conversations that we used to have pretty much every Sunday to kind of recap our weeks of baseball. But, yeah, every time I go into a stadium or a broadcast booth, that's definitely in the back of my mind.
I think I've told you this before, but during the World Series that year, you posted a video singing along with him after the Astros lost a game and singing High Hopes. And it's a father-son thing. I'm a father of two now myself, and they're obsessed with baseball. And I think about it constantly, Todd. Like, it's just this silly. It was really powerful, and I really appreciated it. Todd Kalas, we're looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, Orioles and Astros down in Houston. Thank you, as always, taking the time for us to get us ready for it.
You got it, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Todd.
Todd Kalas with us here on GCR as the Orioles and Astros get ready to open up 3-game series this weekend, as we pointed out. Yeah, it's Jake Bloss making his MLB debut tonight. And I joke because yesterday Griffin was trying to sell me on this Bellator card this weekend, and I made fun of the fact that the fighters didn't even have pictures on the website. Well, right now, if you go to the Astros Probable Pitchers website, they don't have a picture of Jake Bloss either. Just a generic picture of Minute Maid Park that they have posted instead for Jake Bloss. They don't even have a headshot.
They'll probably get one tonight.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They don't even have a headshot because he was not planned to be a part of the Astros roster this season. Rodriguez Bloss tonight, Corbin Burns, Ronel Blanco tomorrow, and Albert Suarez, Framber Valdez. So it was Suarez Cortez, now it's Suarez Valdez this weekend. How about that?
It's Valdez.
Thank you. Thank you for making sure I had that right. Valdez would be another one. He's got 1 year of control after this year. That I know that somebody brought him up this week when we were talking about trade potential. He would be one that, I don't think the Astros will be in a place where they'd be looking to dump everyone because, again, they're the Astros. I think they believe they'll be right back in this thing next year, but depending on what the offer was, maybe they'd be interested. All right, when we come back in, we are going to talk to Kyle Van Noy. You know him. He's a rock star for the Baltimore Ravens, and he's back for another season. He's also got a really special event coming up next week he's going to tell us more about. That's next. Stands here, Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and on the cover, Glenn Clark and Stan the Fan Charles sit down for a sports conversation with Maryland Governor Wes Moore, discussing the Orioles and Ravens stadium leases, the future of horse racing in Maryland, and how his own football career at Johns Hopkins shaped him as a leader. This is also our annual travel issue with information about sports tourism opportunities in Maryland for your family to take advantage of throughout the summer. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Friday edition of the program. Stan is here. Today's show is also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. You know, Game 6 of the Cup playoff or the Cup Finals are tonight. Don't know where you're planning on watching, but I would encourage you to make your plans to get to Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel. And don't forget that Live Casino Rewards members have the opportunity to earn discounts on cash and credit purchases at the casino. Join the Live Casino Rewards Club online or in person at Live today. See complete details at livecasinohotel.com.
Live really missed the boat. You know, they could have had me out there. Stanley.
Oh,
Cup,
that's a great point.
Stanley
It is
Cup.
the Stanley. It's the Stan the Family Cup.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I know you're going to be glued to the television tonight for Game 6 between Edmonton.
I'm probably going to click on.
Really?
Yeah. I was.
If it had been last night when the Orioles were played in the afternoon, yes, I would have. With the Orioles being on 8 o'clock tonight, I probably will not end up spending any time with Game 6 Stanley Cup Finals.
We'll probably peek in on the commercial breaks real quick to see what the score is.
That's,
it's just.
what?
This
fairness,
has been done before in hockey.
In hockey, it's happened one time in the Stanley Cup Finals. Right. It's happened, I think, 4. We did the math the other day. I think it was 4 times overall that a team has come back from down 3-0 in a series.
Yeah.
Still extraordinarily rare, obviously. Does not happen very often. Bummer that the NBA Finals were such a dud. Just an utter and complete DOA dud, man.
What's her name? The woman who does the color?
Doris Burke.
Doris Burke, who's terrific.
Yes.
She said something that was really, to me, right on the money, and I was glad she said it. She said Luka will come back next year significantly in better shape.
Yeah,
the
understanding now,
defense.
Right?
If he understands what it takes now.
Yep.
And they were inept defensively. Taking nothing away from the Celtics.
Which was weird because they had been. That was the story of the Mavericks, is that they had been no defense, then all of a sudden.
And they were
right. That was a huge dud. Obviously, the news yesterday: J.J. Redick is officially the next coach of the LA Lakers.
First story I see when I go to CBS Sports late last night is Kobe hated J.J. Redick's guts or something
really?
like that. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people hated J.J. Redick's guts, in fairness. He was, the story was he had a bit of a punchable face. Carmelo Anthony, okay, here we go. I remember, this is from Carmelo Anthony. Quote, I remember Kobe couldn't stand J.J. Redick. He got tired of Coach K talking about J.J. Redick. Kobe took it very, very personal to the point where he was running through screens in practice. He was denying J.J. the ball, fouling the S out of J.J. I'm like, why are you treating the young boy like that? This mother effer ain't let J.J. Redick score in practice.
Really a relevant story.
That is wild, though. That is really.
So now we know that Kobe's, late wife, widow, will just hate J.J. Redick.
I
mean, what's the purpose of that story?
I think that Melo told it to try to make it sound fun, right?
Yeah.
Remember, this is the. Kobe and Pau Gasol, best friends, right? Literally to the point where Pau Gasol has a role in helping with Kobe's daughter to this day.
Okay.
Kobe and Pau Gasol
were best
unlike Kobe and Shaq, Kobe and Pau Gasol were as thick as thieves.
Kind of like you and me.
Exactly right. I would say maybe even slightly
thicker?
closer than that. Maybe Stan even a little bit closer than you and me. So the story goes, and if you saw the Redeem Team documentary that they did a few years ago, that Kobe wanted to set the tone for this is the year after the USA basketball had been awful and they were trying to pull it back together, that he said, I'm going to run through his MFing chest, was the story in the first game against Spain. And everybody was like, dude, one, isn't that your boy? 2, is that necessary? What? And then sure enough, the first possession of the game against Spain, Kobe blew through him. Through him.
Like he wasn't there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And trucked him. Absolutely trucked. And it's just kind of fascinating to me. This is how different this dude was.
That's what you hear about Cal Ripken, for example, how competitive he was.
In basketball, for example, Cal Ripken famously would host these games, and they were not exhibitions. They were not let's go. They were
real men's games.
Bloodbaths, 100%. And so I think that Carmelo Anthony, by telling the story, it's just trying to talk about, like, it's ironic. What's ironic is that, like, Kobe just wanted to stand it. He just wanted to go after him. He just wanted to make this dude's life hell. Like, that was the story. And so, yeah, that's my gut about why it is that Carmelo Anthony chose to tell that story. But admittedly, I don't know. I can't get into Carmelo Anthony's brain. But we do know that J.J. Redick is the new head coach of the Lakers. There had been some word that perhaps the Pistons were also interested after they decided to pay Monty Williams $80 million or whatever to not be a basketball coach, which, again, it's good work if you can get it. I'm in favor of
I got a great idea.
Yeah?
How about if Monty Williams and Jose Abreu started a company where they help, like, sort of like
find
them jobs where they can get paid
without doing what it is that you were supposed to do. I'm listening. I want you to know I'm listening to the concept. I say this all to say that now the Pistons obviously have to hire a coach. A lot of people pushing that Baltimore's own Sam Cassell, who just won another NBA title as an assistant coach with the Celtics, who has seemed to be been an assistant coach for a lot longer than someone as accomplished as he was as a player, as now accomplished as now multiple. Like, it just seems like Sam Cassell has not gotten the same, and you can sense that from a lot of people there is a disdain to, with no disrespect to J.J. Redick,
right.
How in the F is he more qualified to be the coach of the L.A. Lakers than Sam Cassell is? Yeah. And so there's been a big push in the last 48 hours from basketball people. Like, can we talk about Sam Cassell? Can we have that conversation?
One thing to note is that Mike Krzyzewski is a consultant with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Certainly doesn't seem. And there's a podcast or business relationship between LeBron and J.J. Redick, and all of those things seem like they are relevant in why it is that J.J. Redick is the head coach of the Lakers. I think that all of these other people have a point, though. Like, I think that all things can be true. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Sam Cassell is more than deserving of the opportunity to be an NBA head coach. Hopefully that opportunity will come for him. All right. As we wind down here on a Friday edition of the program, we know that our next guest is a rock star on the field. Came in, no training camp, showed up in September and put together a 9-sack season. Obviously would have been double digits if he had been there the whole year. I didn't know how much of a rock star he was away from the field, and we want to give him an opportunity to talk about some of the wonderful things that he's doing with the Van Noy Valor Foundation. It is a pleasure for us to welcome back into the program Ravens edge rusher Kyle Van Noy, who's with us now here on GCR. Kyle, it's Glenn Clark, Stan the Fan Charles here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Hey, thanks so much, Stan, and it's Stan and Glenn.
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to call him Clark, and I knew that would have been bad.
You know what,
I
man?
just wanted to say thanks for having me on today. Sorry, it might be a little loud. I'm getting a haircut. I got to look good. I got to look good for my event coming up. You know.
So coming up this week, the Van Noy's Charity Golf Challenge. Now, admittedly, this event is out in Utah, and I don't know how many folks from Baltimore, although you can, and I'm sure, Kyle, you would be welcoming of folks from Baltimore that want to go out there. But I did want to let you talk about it also because perhaps it could provide an opportunity for people to know more about what it is that you're doing and consider making a donation, even if they can't get on a flight out to Utah next week.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you setting the stage. You did a really good job of making me look good. But no, for those that are in Baltimore and that want to participate, you can go to the Van Noy Valor Foundation.org, or you can go to vannoygolf24.givesmart.com. That was a lot. So I say we just do the Van Noy Valor Foundation.org. You can go on to there. I'm actually going to set it off right. On Monday, it's going to be live. Actually, I think it's live right now, but on Monday, I'm going to put $20,000 of my own money into this kickoff for those that want to participate, that are away, whether you're in Baltimore or, the D.C. area, because there's some Baltimore fans in that area. I'm going to kick it off with donating my own money to this. It means a lot to me. I'm actually adopted. My wife and my brother-in-law, my wife's father and my brother-in-law are also adopted.
Wow.
So it means a lot to us.
So tell us more about what the foundation, is all about, Kyle.
Yeah. So I don't know why I stopped there.
You're
Let me
good,
keep
man.
going. We work with
bro. This is the nice
kids.
part about this conversation, Kyle. We are so inclined to like you because you're such a damn good football player that you can screw up everything and we're still good here, man.
Yeah. No, I'm actually. We work with foster care kids in the communities. This last year, we were able to do giveaways. I love the holidays, so we do lights, Christmas, trees, presents, all sorts of stuff. We did that in the Utah area. We hosted about 8 families. And then in Baltimore, we surprised 3 families that came to the Ravens practice facility. I gave a tour, and then at the end of the tour, we were able to give them gift cards and presents to kids that are in foster care to brighten their day a little bit and to give them words of encouragement. It was pretty fun.
That's awesome, man. That's
good, really is.
Good on you, dude. And we love the idea of supporting this. I'm gonna make the challenge. You had 9 sacks last year. How about $10 per sack? How about people step up and throw in $90?
That would be awesome. But we have a number on there. My new number is 53.
Okay.
I feel like that's a number that people will be like, oh, that holds meaning.
Yep.
It's something that a lot of people from the goodness of their heart could be like, okay, 53, that's a good number. I like that. I'm supporting Van Noy. 53, it kind of adds up. So I think that one is what we're shooting for people that feel like donating, is kind of hard. But if you want to donate 53, that rings the bell for them. They might like it a little bit more than 90.
That sounds really good. Why the number change, Kyle?
I just felt like 53 looks better than 50.
And it gets $3 more per donation.
Yeah, right? There you go.
That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. No, I think it's just something that I've always worn wherever I've gone.
Right.
I know in Los Angeles I went to 8. 5 plus 3, that was 8. So 53 is my number. I've made some good plays in 53 as well as I did with 50. I just have an expectation when I wear 53. It's something that means a lot to me. And I want to represent Baltimore, It's a place that, I'll tell you a quick story. I wear a CPAP, and so I had to get some distilled water. And I was in the Walmart walking around, and just everybody that, from the employees that were working there to the cash register, people were so happy that I was back.
Yeah.
And I was so pumped to be a part of the community again and just enjoy the fans. I think we have some of the best fans in the world, if not the best. I believe we have the best stadium in the world. It's not even close. You can argue with a wall. I really am entrenched in Baltimore forever. I'm really proud to represent Baltimore area, a lot of hard-nosed people that love football, and I'm excited this year. I know last year was a little disappointing, but we have a chance to repent for our sins this year.
You're chatting with Kyle Van Noy. By the way, we're going to link up those websites on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio so that you guys can go there and find them and get your donations in. Kyle, you bring that up, man. I ask because I get that it would be easy to give a stock answer to something like this. But did you know, when you showed up here, that late in the process, in your mind, did you say, man, this is going to be a place I'm going to be for a couple seasons, maybe the rest of my career? Or was it, I'll go do this, but if I'm back on the couch in a couple of weeks, so be it. I'll go back to making some YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I want to give you the cliche answer, but I'll go in depth a little bit. I honestly expected a lot. I mean, okay. I felt like the year previous I showed that I could play ball at a high level still. and it was kind of disappointing and waiting around. And then Raven showed interest early, and I felt like it was a little low ball situation. And then, yet again, they were the only team that came forward, and it was kind of to prove to them that they were right, because I like to prove people right. I'm not big into let's focus on the haters and negative energy. I want to focus on the positive energy. And I just wanted to prove to the people that were in my corner, prove to them that they made the right decision, and then that I did enough for them to want me back and need me back, and showcase my skills to, the league as well as to Baltimore. Man, even though we've played them, again, when I was with the Patriots, we actually like this guy now. He's making plays for us. So it was something that I always wanted to do after the season, was go back. But I'm always going to keep my options open, just because I've kind of been screwed over a couple times in the NFL, as well as I've benefited a lot. So, when EDC came to the table, I was super excited that he wanted me back, and it was fun to be a part of last year's run, and hopefully we can make another run at it this year.
Give us some insight into what kind of defensive coordinator Zach Orr is going to be, Kyle.
Despite the fact that you're actually older than him, which is really something that I am.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I know Mike Garofalo put a tweet out today and said that, and I was ready to beat him up for that. But that's funny. I honestly, a lot of people have been asking me to compare Mike and Zach, what would be different. But honestly, Zach is his own person. Obviously, they're cut from the same tree, but it's going to be different. I think you're going to see different concepts and different things that Zach likes to do, and I just believe he's going to be aggressive. That's who he was as a player. I think people forget Zach Orr was an all-pro linebacker before he was done, and so he's very smart and capable of, leading men. And I'm excited to work with him and, do my best to help him out and give him some pointers. And, yeah, it's going to be great. I think the biggest thing to take from it all is he's going to be aggressive. I think that's going to be a fact.
You mentioned a second ago, jokingly, the idea of repenting for the sins, and obviously you're referring to the AFC Championship game. You've won Super Bowls, obviously. Is the pain still as raw for you as it is for someone that's never been there, that this was their first taste, their first opportunity? You don't ever have to worry about going an entire career without accomplishing it. You've done it. Is it still the same pain?
Yeah, I think it's more because I know what the other side feels like. And I know the opportunity that we had, and, I felt it a lot. I think I told a lot of people that I didn't leave my house for a week. I was really that devastated because, I hate losing, and I'm going to try to do whatever I can to win and be the best teammate I can be, as well as, try to do my thing on a football field. It's just a disappointment when you get to that stage and you don't win the championship, because that's the goal. But, I think it was a good learning experience for everybody.
It seems like the type of thing that everybody I've talked to, do you obsess over it? Do you bring it up to try to feel, or do you have to ignore that and say it's a different? I just don't know what those conversations are like. Do you put pictures up, remind everybody, hey, this is what we're working for us, and never feel like this again? Or do you utterly and completely ignore it and say we're not going to obsess over the failures of the past?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
To be honest, I think you can't ignore it because it's everywhere. But at the end of the day, you got to move forward too, right? I think it would be stupid to just sulk over it and oh, woe is me. I mean, you have to, just like everybody else, when you go through a hard time, you got to pick yourself up and keep it moving.
You've given a few of we've seen you give a few of the pregame speeches, that you've been the guy breaking the huddle, right? Has that always been?
That was just once. And
okay.
I was mad that I did that because, as an older guy, I might not say the things that the younger guys say, you know?
Wait a second. Like, you just think you're speaking a different language than them?
I think mine comes off as more words of wisdom, right?
Wait, they're looking at you like, what is this old man? Like, what is he talking about?
Exactly.
So did
I
you?
don't think I'll leave to Roquan. He does a way better job than I do.
I was gonna say, did you enjoy doing it? Like, was it something you wanted to do, or did they just kind of default like, all right, Kyle, you go do it this week?
Yeah, I think it was more of, Roquan being respectful because he wasn't going to play in the game.
Yeah.
He's not going to, that's what I love about Ro. He's not going to fake it, right? He's not going to tell you to do something if he's not going to be able to do it. And I think I was still playing in the game. So it was like, hey, you speak to him because you're actually going to be playing out there with him. And I respect that. And, I'm grateful for Roquan giving me that opportunity. It's something I feel like I've always wanted to do and be part of a leadership. And, Roquan kind of, it's awesome that he looks at me as a leader too.
That's cool.
To, be able to be like, hey, this is not just me, this is us. And he does that with a lot of guys. And I'm really appreciative of Roquan and Lamar too. They both do a good job of, leading when they need to, as well as looking at others that are leaders too. Like, it's your turn.
Kyle, I know it's a team effort on defense, but what does Roquan mean to that defense above and beyond his playmaking?
I mean, I think he represents a lot to the Baltimore community.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude is just different. I mean, I said it the other day, like not too long ago, that if you had Lamar Jackson and Roquan Smith in your building, I mean, I would be elated as fans because they're one of one, both of them. And I'm just proud to be teammates with them and proud to be friends with them. It's an honor to be friends with two guys like that play football the right way, but also are the right way off the field too.
That's well said, man. We appreciate that, and I hope that there'll be another speech at some point. Actually, like, I hope that we get to hear that from you. The Van Noy Valor Foundation. Again, we're asking. It's $53 for Kyle's new number, $53, and we've linked up. You want to remind everybody one more time what the websites are, Kyle?
Yeah, the two websites are VanNoyValorFoundation.org, or you can go to VanNoyGolf24.GiveSmart.com. Those are the two. I personally like the VanNoyValorFoundation.org. That one's a little bit easier, so let's do that one.
I'm going to do something here that I've done a few times, and it's going to be, I'm going to offer an apology, man, because the day that you came in, I probably used the term, I don't know it, but I'm going to guess I used the term scrap heap.
Old.
Or yeah, I'm going to guess that I said that, like, I don't know how much of an impact this guy can have picking him up. And boy, did you prove everybody to be an idiot.
Yeah. I do it a lot, so, I like to say thank you too, because, I'm at the end of the day, it does motivate me, but I think what people fail to realize for myself, this is just my opinion, is that I've played multiple positions over my career. I've never been able to focus on one. I've done, off the ball a lot. I've done both a lot. I've never been asked to just rush, and that's what I did in college. And so for me, it's kind of awesome because being on the edge still feels new. And so I enjoy learning and getting better at this pass rush thing. And so it's fun to school people like yourself that, give me doubt. But at the same time, like, it's also fun for myself and to know that I have a lot more game left in me.
It's so funny because you brought up EDC. I did an event with him not that long ago, and I just looked at him and said, bro, I have no idea how you pulled all this off. And the smile on his face was through. Man.
He does a good job.
It is incredible. Kyle, what an incredible fit you've been here in Baltimore, and more importantly, this work that you're doing for foster kids. It's incredible, man. We truly commend you for that. We can't wait to see you back out here for training camp in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the rest of your summer, man, and thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us today.
Thanks, guys. See you guys in training camp.
Hope the haircut turned out good.
Yeah, right. We didn't ruin it by distracting you. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Kyle Van Noy. Really, again, I mean, we all felt the same way. Okay, they're bringing in this guy. Sure.
Where did he play college at?
BYU.
BYU,
yeah. And look, obviously, has been a hell of a player during his career. Just normally when a guy's available in September, it's not because they're going to come in and put up a 9-sack season. Boy, was he a godsend for this football team, and glad that they were able to bring him back. Stan, do you need to duck out, or are you?
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to duck out.
At Stan the Fan, obviously.
New piece up on the
PressBoxOnline.com.
On PressBoxOnline.com about what the statement the Orioles made with their win yesterday and in the series.
Go check that out right now. And he and Ross back in action Monday afternoon, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. And that's right. Wes Moore on the cover of the new
Glenn
Press
and I
Box.
chatted with the governor.
Go get that today. Hey, don't forget County Sports Zone. That's the place to get all the latest in high school sports, coaching changes, previews for the fall, all that stuff. Find it countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. We'll come back in, wrap things up with a tidbit and tubular. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Glenn Clark and Stan the Fan Charles sit down for a sports conversation with Maryland Governor Wes Moore, discussing the Orioles and Ravens stadium leases, the future of horse racing in Maryland, and how his own football career at Johns Hopkins shaped him as a leader. This is also our annual travel issue with information about sports tourism opportunities in Maryland for your family to take advantage of throughout the summer. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The days are getting hotter, and so are your Baltimore Orioles. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and you can join me and Ryan Blake on the Bat-Around every Saturday at 10 a.m. as the Orioles march towards another postseason berth. With a Cy Young candidate in the rotation and multiple MVP candidates in the lineup, this might be the most well-equipped Orioles team to end a decades-long World Series drought. From the Midsummer Classic to the trade deadline and beyond, Ryan and I will be with you through the dog days of summer and into those crisp fall nights. So tune into the Bat-Around every Saturday starting at 10 a.m. right here with Press Box.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we wind down for a Friday edition of the program and for the week. Thanks again to Kyle Van Noy for taking the time to join us. So next Wednesday is the NBA draft? So because they're doing the stupid 2-night thing. I think it's Wednesday night and Thursday afternoon is what we figured out it was. Yeah, I think round 1 is Wednesday.
Isn't the 27th
yes.
the round 1?
No. I think round 1 is, hang on a second. I'm pretty sure round 1 is Wednesday. Let me double check this. Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday night is round 1.
Interesting.
Thursday afternoon, which is the weirdest thing ever.
Would it be more bizarre if it was Friday afternoon, I guess?
I would think that would actually make more sense because like people might knock off work a little bit early.
Right. Okay.
And also the following week, be prepared for that to be the most bizarre week ever because the 4th of July is Thursday. No one is going to be lined up. There's going to be nothing in sync about who's taking off when. Like, I think most people will just choose to take Thursday and Friday off and make a 4-day weekend out of it. That's what we'll be doing here at GCR. But there will be people that will like use that to kick off their holiday week. They'll just take off the entirety of the following week. I don't know. It's a lot. Anyway, I just saw a mock draft like floating around, and it's like that realization of I know
anyone?
It's not.
Well,
it's half that I don't know them, but it's like
who are the Wizards taking?
This mock draft. Whose mock draft is this? This is the Field of 68's mock draft.
I don't know if I trust them.
They have the Wizards taking Klingon at number 2. So like I know Klingon, and he's obviously a hell of a player. But then there's
see how they ruin him.
Like it's more to me like that ain't gonna change a franchise. You're not getting a franchise changer, Donovan Klingon. Reed Shepard, number 3.
2 seasons, 2-3 years.
Dalton Connect at number 5. Like that's one of those sneaky.
Yeah.
Like.
You probably won't hear about him until 2 or 3 years. But
and is he a franchise changer? Probably not. Like I know he's a good scorer, but like is he really a franchise changer? I'm just like looking at this, trying to find somebody that I think is a franchise. They've got Zach Edey in the top 10. They've got him at 9. That, but I think is a statement because I know how much has been made about this not being a good draft.
In a normal year, he'd be back end.
Yeah, that's the sense that I have. Anyway. Look, man, that who cares? We're not a place that the NBA draft matters. But I just saw that floating around and said, "Huh."
Where do they have Cam Spencer going?
Believe it or not, they did not have Cam Spencer, but they only did 10 picks. So
this is even a mock draft.
Yeah, right? Shameful. That's our guy.
So they only have college players, or are they just ranking the top 10 college players?
Bro,
or
no, because they had It's
I don't know who the top international guy is, but
it's the number 1 pick is Alex Sarr.
Oh, okay.
He's the French player. 7 feet, plays as a center.
Is he related to Wemby? I mean, I don't know if I wanted them.
I don't know.
Might feel like it'd be better to go with the guy whose last name ends in itch. So
maybe that's who they have number 1. So it's not just college players, but dude, it's what I'm glad we don't have to attempt to do NBA draft content because it seems like. And also of all the years to break it.
Wednesday we'll have.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get you're working on a big NBA draft show, dude. Like when I was in
NBA draft spectacular.
When I was in Phoenix, we used to have to do our show like all about the NBA draft, and then do live NBA draft afterwards. And I was already tapped out by like 4:00, and I would still have hours ahead of me. I guess the NBA draft would start around like 5:00 Phoenix time, something like that. But by 4:00, I was like, because we would go right from our show into draft coverage, and I would just be. And like the Suns were good then, so they were drafting at the end of the first round. And that was awful. Just wretched
So you had to
content.
talk about every pick.
And I had to pretend like I knew anything about these guys.
I'm trying to think. So the 06 or 07 draft?
I did 07 and 08 for sure.
What was the the 2007 NBA draft? How many
2007.
Right?
That would have been the draft when they ended up drafting. The Suns definitely drafted Maryland's own DJ Strawberry that year. That definitely happened. Might have been the last pick of the draft, if I remember correctly.
You remember that incorrectly. The second to last pick.
Son of a bitch. That means that their first-round pick that year was Alondo Tucker, right? The Suns?
The Suns would be picking, Alondo Tucker.
So that was one of those.
Wisconsin legend.
That was one of those where, for a few weeks, I ended up getting a call in from the program director.
What was your breakdown of the top 5 picks?
Well, so that would have been Greg Oden, right?
It was Greg Oden.
And then it was loaded after that.
It was.
It was.
Wow, these guys are still playing. That's crazy.
So that would have been because it was Oden Durant, right?
Next guy. Next guy just won his first.
Oh,
NBA
yeah, Horford, right? Because that was the Florida teams that had won back-to-back titles, and they beat Ohio State in the championship game. I actually, this is going to sound wild. So there was a kid that worked as a shoe shiner at the airport in Phoenix, and he offered us a deal that, like, whenever there was a celebrity that was getting their shoe shined, he would ask them to call into the show. And if he got someone that we thought was, significant, we'd pay him like $20, something like that. And one day he calls in. He's like, dude, you're not going to believe this, but Joakim Noah, Al Horford, and I think it was Ronnie Brewer maybe was also on that team. Who was another player on that Florida? A guard on that. I want to say it was Brewer. Corey Brewer. Yeah. Thank you. Corey Brewer are all getting their shoes shined right now. And so I think we said to him, like, dude, we're not paying you $60 for this.
You should have.
Should have. But, yeah, like that same time, Joakim Noah, Al Horford, and Corey Brewer all called into the show at the exact same time. And, like, you know what the craziest part? I'm trying to think of some of these, because there were some big ones. Like, no one ever thought it was terribly weird. Like, the circumstances of just being sitting there getting your shoes shined and calling into a radio station.
The Phoenix radio station.
Yeah, right. And the guy would just be like, "Hey, man, we call in right now." After Al Horford,
he is still in the league. He is a Timberwolf currently.
Oh, was it Conley?
Yes, Mike Conley.
Conley?
Top 4.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, that could make sense. Ohio State, right?
I guess Jeff Green was top 5.
Okay.
To the Celtics. Then a Chinese player from the Guangdong Southern Tigers.
It wasn't Yao Ming.
It wasn't Yao Ming.
I don't know.
It was, of course, Yi.
Oh, John Leon or
John
whatever.
Leon, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Because to this point in the draft, these are all players that I was very capable of talking about. And then we got here, and this was an era of radio where you were just supposed to BS. And I know that a lot of radio still does that. Like,
what are you talking about?
Francesa, this is the clip of Francesa trying to break down the Maryland-Florida State game.
Maryland.
Well, they
played each other. It was a great game.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. Like, you're just supposed to BS in this era of radio. Like, pretend like you know something. And I'm pretty sure mine was like, well, if he's anything like Yao Ming, like that's what I had to discuss Yi Jianlian.
Yuck. The next pick's gonna be, and then just Corey Brewer was.
Yeah, Corey Brewer, sure.
Then
and Noah went in that draft too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
2 picks later.
They all worked. The reason why they were at the airport is they all worked out with the Suns on the same day. That the bizarre part about that is, of course, why would any of them have been working out for the Suns? The Suns had like the 29th pick.
Well, they were going to trade up or something.
Yeah.
They were going to trade Steve Nash.
It's so insanely bizarre that the Suns ever hosted any of those guys for a workout.
They did pick 24th overall, too.
They picked 24th over? The Suns did?
Yeah. Unless this was like one of those weird.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that was a trade because there was a lot
of. This is why the NBA draft makes no sense.
I hate the NBA
draft.
It
says, okay, so this was the Suns pick, I guess, or I don't know if he went to this from Cleveland via Boston, traded to Portland. Is literally what it says on Wikipedia.
Who was it?
It was a Spanish guy, Rudy Fernandez.
Oh yeah, he was never a Sun. Yeah, that was not the Suns. The Suns did not. It was not their pick. Yeah, there was a billion trades involved, but yes, essentially.
Yeah. Let's see. Thiago Splitter was one pick before the Suns.
I like Thiago Splitter a lot as a player, but I didn't know anything about him. Yeah. So
Aaron Afflalo.
No, Aaron Afflalo. Aaron Afflalo from UCLA. And I absolutely wanted Aaron Afflalo to be a Sun. Like, that was definitely someone.
Like, I remember
when we got into that portion of draft coverage, I remember the guys that were on were Jared Dudley.
Started yelling, and where'd Jared Dudley go?
Milwaukee?
No. None of the 3 teams that were involved in the, potentially where he went, I guess.
Okay.
He was a Bobcat.
Oh, I don't remember Jared Dudley.
From Toronto via Cleveland.
Jared Dudley was a Bobcat? I don't remember that at all.
Let's see.
I have no recollection of that.
I'm trying to think.
Jared Dudley, he played the first season, and then he ended up a Sun. That part I do remember because when he ended up with the
longest tenure.
When he ended up with the Wizards, I was able to send our buddy Tim Murray, who was doing radio in D.C., Jared Dudley's number. I was like, hey, bro, I'll do you solid here. I'll need something from you at some point. I wanted Jared Dudley. I wanted Afflalo, and was that Aaron Brooks?
Yes, Aaron
I wanted
Brooks.
Aaron Brooks. Those were the
The
guys
Rockets.
that were on my list. I want to say there was somebody that went in the second round that I. Oh God! It was an Arizona kid. Was there an Arizona kid? Marcus Williams?
Yep, Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. I was high on Marcus Williams, too. I'm
trying to think if there was anybody else. Nobody else really. Oh, Marc Gasol went in the second round.
Yeah, that would have been a nice pick.
Yeah.
He was a solid player. I mean, it was a... All right, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
No,
It's 12:24. We got to go. We haven't even done tidbit
Jeez,
yet.
12:24.
Yeah. Let's do tidbit. Come on. What are we doing?
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Real quick, two things. One, what I meant to tell so my program director came into me like 2 weeks after the draft and said, dude, all you've talked about is DJ Strawberry. You haven't.
It's the story of the draft.
Like, I would bring on, like the GM of the Suns. And I would be like obsessively talking about DJ.
You think you got him drafted then by the Suns?
I think that he at one point believed that. So like
the PD.
I had a great DJ.
Oh, DJ.
100%. Like I had a great relationship with DJ Strawberry. Ironically, there was also
I remember he was like my first favorite Maryland basketball player
because he was Darryl Strawberry's kid.
Yeah. Well, no, I think so strawberries still are my favorite food. Period,
okay.
By none, and so when I was a kid, strawberries were my favorite.
I actually don't hate this.
And yeah, he's the first player I remember remembering.
Okay.
We had, a little poster of DJ Strawberry up in my room.
So Steve Kerr had taken over as GM, and Steve Kerr, I got to tell you, came on with us all the time. Before he was working for Yahoo as just an NBA analyst.
He started because he called games first, right?
He might have been at TNT or somewhere like that. But he's definitely doing Yahoo stuff. I remember this. He would come on once a week, and it wasn't just with us, with anybody in town. Then he takes a job as the GM, and we're like, I guess we're never gonna get Steve Kerr again. Nothing changed. He would just say, "Text me," I'll come on. Steve Kerr was the best. Could not have been a nicer guy, man. He was unbelievable. And it was complicated because D'Antoni had been the general manager, and then they were like, "Hey, dude, we need to no, we're not just gonna keep doing that." But they were both great. I like both of those guys a lot, and then I would bring them on and just ask them obsessively about their second round pick, and I would have to get needled.
Am I enough?
Yeah, the Bob Kemp, who was our midday show host, it was great. I love that guy. Bob would be like, "You." Maybe not so much on DJ Strawberry. Bob had been a national host for years. He had been on Sporting News Radio. I believe Sports Illustrated named him the media personality of the decade or something like that. He was a great talk show host.
Well, Ramon Sessions also went right before the Suns.
I don't remember having much interest in Ramon Sessions. I thought it was Ramon. Was it Ramon? Maybe it was Ramon.
Maybe it is Ramon.
Maybe it was whatever. Randomly, God, what are we doing here? My uncle-in-law, my wife's uncle, owned 3 cigar stores in Myrtle Beach, and we went down to visit a few years back. He was trying to convince me to take them over. He wanted me to move to Myrtle Beach and just run his cigar stores, get out of broadcasting, or we could do it from here. He was, and I like Uncle John, great guy, love that guy. He was the rugby coach at Longwood University. Just a fascinating cat, man. Although every time he sees me, he definitely thinks I know more about rugby than I do. Because I'm a sports guy, he'd be like, "So, what'd you think of the All Blacks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they were all black." I've got nothing to add to the conversation. But yeah, he was trying to convince me to move, and we were there, and Ramon Sessions wandered into the store, and dapped up my wife's uncle like they were best friends. That's my close buddy Ramon Sessions, and that's the other thing. Every time he saw me, he would ask me, "Hey, how's Ramon doing?" I don't know, man. Uncle John, I haven't checked recently. Sorry. Great guy. All right. And then what was I going to say? I was going to say something else, and I've already forgotten about it because this is what we ended up doing. Somebody has not fully updated the soccer grid.
I thought I did.
No, because I got a second win with Spain yesterday. Spain beat Italy.
Then I don't. Maybe I made the error. Somebody gave a W for Italy.
Yeah, Italy definitely did not win. Spain won 1-0.
Now it should be updated.
Okay, so you believe this is good?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm currently at the top of the
I'm
table.
trying to think. I mean, like, because I know I updated it on my phone, so it might have, like I was like doing like Google Sheets app on my phone. So,
Okay.
So I might have missed a button, but I could
maybe double check this weekend. Just make sure everything's accurate. All
I mean,
right.
we were definitely accurate up until that Spain game.
Well, I don't think it's gonna hurt us to double check. Of course, Argentina did. Argentina did take care of Canada last night, so that's bad news for your boy. Good news for Ryan Chell, but still, Spain's got me atop the table at the moment with 10 points because they. That was very conflicting for me yesterday. Like, Italy's. I think everybody knows my family's Italian, so I root for Italy, but like. They stunk. Like, it was a miracle. It was only 1-0. Spain, I have not looked at the statistics. I'm pretty sure Spain had 89% of the possession. Like, it was a bloodbath, and somehow it was only 1-0. And then I was in that point where, like, I'll settle for a draw, like, because I still wanted well for Italy, and then I'm, like, doing the bit where I'm like, but it's good for me for the competition. Whatever. Spain won. Can we?
I really wanted to do this one.
All right, fine. Do it. Quick, do it.
The Orioles, last time they scored 17 runs against the...
You're going to ask me the lineup?
Yeah. It was 2005. This was Jake Rill tweeted this out. 16 runs, the most scored by the Orioles in a game against the Yankees since a 17-9 win, but it was back at Camden Yards, September 27th, 2005.
God, that is the height of awful.
Do you think you can name the Yankees lineup better than...
God, maybe. Oh, my God. The 2005... So this predates even Markakis. Would be Brian Roberts, though.
No Brian Roberts.
All right, let's try Melvin Mora.
Melvin Mora was batting second. Yes.
All right.
5 RBI a day for Melvin Mora.
He played third base that day?
He did, batting second.
How about the Melvin Mora third base story is a great story, too, because like he had never played third base, and the Orioles just needed a third baseman. They were like, hey, you want a job? Congratulations, you're the third baseman. It turns out he was awesome. All right, so that 05 would have been the year they brought back Palmeiro, right?
No, not Palmeiro. I wonder how much of this, like, it was toward the end of the season, too.
Oh, I might be really effed here. Because that was 05. There was excitement about 05 because they had brought back Palmeiro. They had brought in Javi Lopez.
Javi Lopez was in the lineup. He was batting 6th.
Okay.
Only 1 for 4 day for Javi Lopez. 5,
6.
But he did hit a home run.
Catching, I'm assuming?
Yes, he was catching.
And then Miguel Tejada.
Tejada, yes, was playing shortstop. 3 RBIs, 3
batting third or
batting
fourth?
Third. Playing shortstop.
All right. Jay Gibbons.
Jay Gibbons, batting 4th.
Okay.
Playing right field.
Gibbons.
I don't know.
05 would have also been the Sammy Sosa season, correct?
You might be correct, but he was not in the lineup in this lineup.
Okay. I don't know that I'm going to get another player in
All right,
this.
let's. You should get the DH, I think.
The DH.
Of course, oddly didn't have a hit in this game, but he did have 2 RBIs.
Didn't have a hit in the game. The DH was.
The leadoff guy. I don't think you'll ever get.
The DH. Why should I get the DH? What was significant about the DH? Was it Bigby?
No, it wasn't Bigby. He let's see. He started his. I guess this was the end of his career. All right. He was a Brewer before coming to Baltimore.
Brewer before he became an Oriole. Holy
He came to the Orioles in the late 90s when they were still good, I think. Yeah.
Oh, is this they brought back B.J. Surhoff?
That's right, yeah, because he left.
Okay, because they traded him to Atlanta, and then they. All right, okay.
B.J. Surhoff batting 5th, DHing. The leadoff hitter, he played 24 games. 2 professional seasons. He was in 06, he was with the Nationals. And then he played 24 games in 05 with the Orioles and led off this game. Scored 4 runs, playing second base.
Second baseman.
Hernandez.
No. Bynum.
No.
Fahey.
No. Bernie Castro.
There is no way that's a real person. I do not believe you.
He played 2 seasons.
What is?
He played 42 games with the Nationals the following year.
I've never heard that name in my life.
I guess, you probably won't get 7 through 9 then either. Center fielder.
Center fielder.
I think he hit a home run.
Okay. Eugene Kingsale.
No, he did not hit a home run. No, not Eugene Kingsale.
Try to think of other bad.
First baseman, left fielder, center fielder.
First. David Newhan?
Yes, David Newhan.
Why was he playing center field?
He wasn't playing center. He actually played both corners. In this game.
Okay.
Started in left.
All right. So I still need a center fielder.
Correct. He shares a name with a current major leaguer on the Giants.
Oh, Luis Matos.
Luis Matos.
Was he still? I thought the new Luis Matos got demoted. I thought he got sent down.
I
thought it got bad for old.
Helio Ramos is playing very well for the Giants. That might be true, but yes, Luis Matos.
All right, and I'm missing
a
a
9-hitter. He was playing first base.
It's not a good sign. Why is he on the team?
This guy, let's see, he was a Detroit Tiger in the 90s, then a Padre, then a Devil Ray, then a Twin for a year, a Blue Jay for a year.
Had a career.
And then, he did have a career. Then he was 3 years with the Orioles from 05 to 07.
I got nothing.
This was Chris Gomez.
I vaguely remember Chris Gomez.
He did have a career.
Why was he
starting on the mound?
The pitcher that day was Sidney Ponson.
Not Sidney Ponson.
Pitching that day was Rodrigo Lopez.
Not Rodrigo Lopez.
How about Bedard?
Not Bedard.
Bruce Chen.
Bruce Chen.
Okay, I like Bruce Chen. Bruce Chen was a good guy, man.
He had a rough start, though.
I believe Bruce Chen participated in the first ever World Baseball Classic.
Oh.
I don't remember which. If it was
starting for the Yankees was Mike Mussina, and he got roughed up. Had a similar line.
Yeah,
to,
take
to
that.
Luis Gil.
Bet you regret ever signing there. Ha ha.
Al Leiter took the loss.
Got
though.
you. I swear, did Bruce Chen? Who did he play for in the World Baseball Classic? I swear to God, that was a thing. Because I remember having him on the show to talk about
Panama.
There we go. Look at that. Look at that. All right, very good.
The Jeter, A-Rod, Giambi, Sheffield. Would you be able to get all these guys? You think?
I mean, it's
Matsui, Posada,
Damn,
Robinson Cano.
Jesus Christ.
A young Robinson Cano. Bernie Williams.
What a lineup.
Bubba
Holy
Crosby.
Well, I mean, you know.
That's why they lost. Yeah.
Right? Really let him
Gary
down.
Sheffield had 6 RBIs in this game.
Rough.
Yeah, I think that's.
All right, very good. We're so late today. Let's get tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
All right, here's what's coming up this weekend, tubular-wise. Orioles, Astros, tonight at 8:10 on Masson, Grayson Rodriguez, and the MLB debut for Jake Bloss. Tomorrow at 4:10 on Masson, Corbin Burns, Ronel Blanco, and Sunday on Masson, 2:10, Albert Suarez and Framber Valdez, the pitching matchup. Game 6 in the Stanley Cup Final tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC, Panthers and Oilers. Right now, Poland and Austria. What's going on in that one in the Euro? That's on Fox Sports 1.
Scored early.
Yeah, John from Little Rock thinks this might be his undoing.
Wait a minute. Poland just found an equalizer.
Oh, look at that, John. You were all worried, John. It's 1-1 there. Later tonight on FS1, Copa America, Peru, and Chile at 8 o'clock. Fox at 3 o'clock, Netherlands, France. That's a very good one in the Euro at 3 today. Swimming trials continue tonight on NBC at 8 o'clock, and then track and field trials get underway. Is Matt Centrowitz going to be on the Olympic team again this year? I don't
find out.
I guess that's the only. I don't know of anybody else locally. I guess there are a few former Navy athletes that are competing, but I don't know how much of a chance they have. All that on NBC tonight. Tomorrow, Euro action: Turkey, Portugal at noon, and Belgium, Romania at 3, both on Fox. Copa America, Ecuador, Venezuela at 6, Mexico, Jamaica at 9, both on FS1. On Sunday. Euro, Scotland, Hungary, 3 on Fox. This is the third round of group stage, so all the games go at the same time now, starting on Sunday. So FS1 is Switzerland, Germany at 3. Oh, Germany's on FS1. That's on Sunday. Copa America, the U.S. plays their first match at the Copa on Sunday night, 6 o'clock against Bolivia on Fox, followed by Uruguay, Panama. Everything else, you can go to glennclarkradio.com. Oh, the College World Series final.
Yes.
Right?
I got
game. You got A&M? Well, they're really?
Yeah.
Tennessee's like a pretty significant favorite, aren't they?
It's not. I think in the series they're like minus 130 or 40
Okay,
or something.
I thought it was more than that. Game 1 tomorrow night at 7:30 on ESPN, Tennessee and Texas A&M, and then Game 2 Sunday afternoon on ABC at 2 o'clock. Game 3, if necessary, on Monday. Anything non-sports this weekend? Shoresy's back, right?
Yeah, Shoresy is back. On
hell yeah.
Season 3 of Shoresy. On Netflix, Trigger Warning. This is the Jessica Alba action movie.
Sure.
She is an ex-Special Forces commando, and she returns to her small town after her father dies. To run his bar, and boy, does she get into some trouble. So
okay,
looks pretty epic.
If
actually.
you say
Trigger
so.
Warning on Netflix. Taylor Swift documentary. Taylor Swift versus Scooter Braun. Bad Blood documentary on HBO Max. It looks very TMZ. So if you're into that, go ahead and check it out.
Sure.
Kung Fu Panda 4 streaming premiere. It's on Peacock. It's available now. So everyone has been waiting for that.
I certainly
tomorrow night at 8 on HBO, Stevie Van Zandt, the Disciple documentary. It looks very good. Just a documentary about little Steven.
Sure.
So, and then a new episode of House of Dragon as well on HBO Sunday night.
And nothing really significant in theaters. Oh, is this the bike riders? Is
this weekend the bike riders? I think
this is the weekend for the bike riders. Which is
of course, we need to see the Dominic.
God, yeah. When are we doing that? What the hell, man?
I don't know. You want to do it today?
I can do it today. What time is it showing?
Let's see. I
got to call my wife and make sure I can do it today. But I'm pretty sure they've got like a pool party to go to with the kids, so I think I could do it today.
Okay.
What time is it playing?
Let me see. Hold on.
And where is it playing? I don't even remember. All right, we'll deal with this off the air. Fresh Kills. That's right.
It is no. Did we miss our?
Oh, you son of a bitch! If you ruin this for me,
don't blame me.
Hate you now.
Is it really not around?
I hate you. I'm looking forward to. All right, let's wrap up and we'll deal with this off the air. God, I'm gonna be really mad if we missed out on it. It's apparently the greatest mob movie ever, or whatever.
Yeah, Bike Riders is really the only thing.
All right. Thanks today to Stan the Fan. Thanks to Brandon Copeland. Thanks to Jayson Stark. Thanks to Todd Kalas. Thanks to Kyle Van Noy. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. And of course, that means on Monday, Stuff and Things. That's what we do. Load up one day and then figure it out. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10 a.m., Paul and Ryan, the Bat Around. I'll be with you noon to 2 on Sunday over on 105.7 The Fan. Reed will be checking in. She's going to Houston this weekend to see the Orioles play the Astros. And, then we'll be back on Monday. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Visit Hagerstown in Washington County, Cruise, Maryland. Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, the Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds. Go U.S. men's national team. Duke sucks.